Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Arvanauts. I hope everyone is having a good one today. Welcome to Tuesday. We are midway through February. Can you believe it? I don't know that I can, so I don't know if you can, but we are halfway through February. It is February 16th, 2021, in the year of our Lord, Anno Domini, etc., etc. And we are here for day 14 of Adventures in Middle-earth, Erebor Adventures. That's right, you have spent a full 2 weeks with us so far, so to speak, on this, and I hope you folks have been enjoying what you've seen if you've been part of this campaign. If you have not, and you're like, what is this cool Tolkien thing? Well, prepare to take an awesome ride together with us. It is great to see everybody, and I hope everyone's doing well. Before we go any further, just a couple of reminders about ways to support us here on the channel. If you haven't done so already, please make sure to follow us here. Please check out our YouTube at !ArvTube. Discord is !ArvCord, where you can hang out with the Arvanauts in between streams. I'm looking, by the way, to go back to YouTube for more subscribers over there, because I want to be able to get to a situation where that channel could be monetized if need be for the future. So if you have a Google account, if you have not done so already, please consider subbing over at YouTube. It's free for you, but it will definitely make a difference on my end, so that would be appreciated. As I said, !ArvCord to hang out with the Arvanauts in between streams, and Arv Tweets is the Twitter, where I will try to post when I go live and when there are other changes and things about, you know, writing and gaming and streaming and music and teaching and family and occasionally politics and things like that. So that can all be found over at Arv Tweets, and the website for all this is arvanelleron.com. I am extremely excited because thanks to the assistance of one Craigery, I finally actually have a web person who's able to help me with some stuff. Ever since, sadly, Kilobyte, who originally set those sites up, passed away, I really have been trying to find someone who can help at least sort of structure some of this and do some basic stuff, and I found one. And so if you go over there, you will find that the Infinity and Beyond bios, for instance, have finally been updated, and the pictures all look at the right, you know, ratio now, and we actually have backups of all the websites, and it's a whole new world. So this is going to affect not only arvanelleron.com, but it will affect Speculate and SpeculateSF.com. It will affect other podcasts. Actually, it will affect my band website as well. So I'm so relieved, actually, that that's going to happen. So public shout-outs to Craigery for helping out with that. Yeah, so I'm very excited. You can find all that over at arvanelleron.com. On the financial side, !Arv Shop is my merchandise area where you can get stuff with Infinity and Beyond and with Adventures of Middle-earth, this crew, and soon-to-be Espergenesis stuff as well. Cool swag for you and support of the channel. !Arv is the Patreon, where you can support us, and that makes a big difference. The Patreon really is kind of the financial backbone of the channel, so that is very much appreciated if you can support us over there. And and get cool stuff again for you and cool stuff for the channel. And the same thing with that sub button that allows you to get those awesome custom sub badges and emotes that you see from the amazing Triffany Mats and Lone Wolf and others. And also so that you can support the channel and get inspirations to help the players and things like that. Finally, on the publishing side, !Icarus for details about my Icarus graphic novel from Athos Arts. More details from them coming soon. !Library for tales and tomes from the Forbidden Library. I swear on all that is holy, the print editions are on the way. We just have to get them out of the freaking boxes on the docks and U.S. Customs where they've been sitting for the last 40 days, not joking. Everyone in the industry is being affected by this, but man, just come on, let the books go, please. Anyway, so that's what's going on with that. So the physical edition's coming soon, but in the meantime, Drive-Thru-RPG has you covered on the digital editions of these 5e Adventure and Sourcebook, which I am very proud of. And last but certainly not least, !Grayshade KS. My Grayshade Kickstarter is launching in the middle of next month. There's a lot riding on that for me, and so I will have more details about that coming soon, as we are now just about a month out, basically, before we're planning to get that launched. So that's very exciting, and yeah, can't wait to get started with that. Lastly, !BLM. As always, very important to affirm and assert the importance and significance of Black lives and protecting Black lives. And !Help Now, which is the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Extremely important that we reach out to each other in a time of darkness and be a light at the end of the tunnel. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, vaccine-wise and otherwise. We just have to stay with it and kind of hang in there while we make that happen. So, that the best way to do that in the meantime is to be able to reach out to others if you feel that they need help, if you can see that they need help, and of course to reach out to others if you need help as well. That is just as important. So please do that. We need you as a part of this community. With that said, schedule-wise, we've got Adventures of Middle-earth going on today. Then tonight, or this afternoon, I guess, at 4 p.m. Eastern, we'll be over at GOG with Pen and Pixels and more of D&D with GOG Storm King's Thunder, as they are moving into a new... They're already in the home stretch. They're heading towards this big almost climactic battle maybe. They're trying to rescue King Hecaton from this huge ship. And so there's going to be a lot going on. It's going to be very exciting. And I also want to mention that I will be debuting over there a new combat song, assuming they get into combat, which I would say is fairly likely. A new combat song, which is by Green Forge Studio. And I should say that Gabe Lefkowitz and I have been talking about different things relating to combat music. And we have, you may remember, those of you who watched this a couple weeks ago, we actually debuted one of a new combat song that was sort of in progress, the beta version, I guess, of this combat song. And so, yeah, there's a whole group of 5 songs that he's put together now that I'm going to be licensing for use on the campaigns on this and over in GOG because they're awesome. And so if you want to hear that, you'll get a chance to do so later on today. So that's going on this afternoon. Then we're going to be off tomorrow. On Thursday, we have the Our Vocalists making their triumphant return with a new game for them. NeoCab is happening. Then Friday, we have the first Espergenesis session of February. That'll be cool. And Saturday, D&D with viewers. So a lot of good tabletop stuff coming up this week, and I hope you folks will be here for all of it. Okay, with that said, I'm now going to unmute myself so that the folks know we're ready to go. I will apologize, as always, for interrupting any amazing conversations that I'm sure they were having. And now I'm going to slide over to... to reveal Adventures of Middle-earth, Erebor Adventures, and the full crew. And you can see them all arrayed in their lovely splendor. Splendor. That's the word I was looking for. So I will start, as per usual, with the gentleman right below in the column. And that, of course, is one Mr. Trendane Sparks, who has a fully clean, not barbecued sauced shirt, from what I understand. Well, that's what I've heard. How you doing, Trend, and who are you playing today?
That's what you've heard. It doesn't mean
that's the rumor. I mean...
Yes, and we all know that rumor is absolutely trustworthy.
Yes. I love these references.
Anyway, yeah, right. Oh, my mic is a bit low. I don't care. Yes, because when I'm narrating versus when I'm on stream, I have different volume levels. More?
Just no, slightly less. You went too far.
It's too close. I
don't want to hear it too much.
Too close. I have this image of Trent just being like, mostly because like no one will be able to take their job. Everyone's like, all right, Trent, what do you want to do in comedy? Like, well, it begins with an attack. Like, wow, really? Like, so.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yes, game is good.
Yes, and who am I playing? I am playing he's a big guy. His name, and I'm going to get it right the first time around, is Thane. Pronounced correctly, Thane Tonnebear the Hearthmender, dwarf friend. And he is currently very depressed. And just kind of sitting on a stool at a table, sort of leaning on his staff, like, yeah, why didn't we listen to his side of the argument? I don't understand. We could have, we just trusted everybody else's word that he's a prick who's trying to kill everybody. Anyway, yeah, so that's where he is.
Exactly. It's the classic both-siderism. It's like maybe the Nazi is telling the truth. Yeah.
I don't know if I'd go that well.
Yeah. He's pretty bad. But yes.
I've had 2 weeks to try and get over my hatred of this character.
And boom, right back.
I'm looking forward to you telling me when I get down to you how that worked. How that all worked out for you. Getting over this hatred. Anyway, always a pleasure to have Trent to this, and also always a pleasure to have Brad Bollier with us. And Brad, I don't know if you've still got this available, but I think you got a prop. At least you were showing a prop before. Do you have
my weapon of choice for Bollier Took?
Yes.
Bolo? Flank Searer.
Yes, look at the shiny seasoning of it. It's just.
I wish he had it on him, because then he might have succeeded in taking out Longbow. But unfortunately, it's with
Brindle.
And
it'll lead to
we'll
this
get it back
dramatic
soon.
visual, Brad, where she tosses Bolo in the middle
Right.
of the fight, like spinning slow mo over to him as he grabs it by the handle.
Fine.
But how are you doing, Brad? And who are you playing today?
Good. Yeah, I'm between a bunch of projects, so things writing wise are going well, but busy. And yeah, I'm playing Bolo Took, a somewhat innocent treasure hunter. So there's a weird mix there, and he's after his fellow hobbit, Longo, and he's looking forward to concluding this adventure. I was frustrated we didn't finish it last time.
I know.
We're so close.
I was too. I know. Yeah. If it's still not completed at the end of this session, something has gone badly off the rails. So I'm hoping that we'll all,
The longest series of ones we've ever rolled.
It's just, but and they right, and me too. So it's just basically, like nobody else.
Miss.
I could.
His name is Longo, not Short O. So the fact that it has, I'm gonna stop now.
I see what you did there. No, I wanted you to continue. This is true. This was definitely.
Hi, I'm Longo.
Oh man. Anyway, it is always a pleasure to have Brad with us, and also a pleasure to have Terry Tunes with us. And I'm not going to make any further comment about this. Soon to be famous Terry. I'm just going to say that. I'm just going to throw that out there. No one else knows what that's about. If you were in our green room, you would know. You just have to sit there and wait. But no, how are you doing, Terry? How's life with you and who you're playing today?
I'm doing good. Just like dealing with hay fever now, which is also great because.
Oh, man, that sucks.
It's just.
Isn't it early for hay fever?
Yeah, but like because the weather has been so weird, like hay
okay.
fever season is just all year.
Great,
long,
year-round hay fever sounds great.
Yeah. So yeah, just been sneezing a lot. But yeah, it's fine. Things are good. I'm working on the book that I've mentioned before. And there are exciting things happening around that book, which I'm not going to go into further detail about now.
Yeah, chat's already mad at me. Lono's like, "Why do you always do this, R?" I'm like, "Dude, what? I set up cliffhangers? What do you mean?" I don't know.
But yeah, I'm playing a dwarven wanderer to be precise. Her name is Thane Inga Homefinder, daughter of Ida, and she is a council of King Dine II. She also has a trusty pony sidekick, Lilleman, who has been suspiciously absent since we started this chapter of the campaign, because don't really need a pony to carry all your stuff when you're just in a city. So yeah, it's just hanging out at the stables with his fellow equine posse. So yeah, that's that. Also, I don't remember about what happened last time if my character is like still under.
Nope.
No, your character when we last left Ingo had the axe poised above the bar. Was going to bring this down. Yeah.
I was going to break open the door. That's right. And I was pissed.
Yep.
Yes, you are.
Righteously pissed. Yes.
Righteous fury.
Yes.
So yeah, that's me.
I am always happy to have Terry with us, of course, and I look forward to seeing more. Actually, Terry and I are going to be doing our gamebook illustration not next week, but the week after. So March 2nd will be the day that we do that as we lead into March, which is going to be good. But anyway, always a pleasure to have Terry with us.
March into March?
We will march forward into March. Yes, I see what you did there. Should I come to you to ask what the joke was, Tren, before?
No, I'm trying to think of an intro joke for Amal. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Go ahead, Terry.
Also, Alaf and Hilau to all my fellow Carnival people, since it's a Carnival weekend, which we all have to spend indoors this year. Because screw all of us. But that's that.
Always a pleasure to have Terry with us, and also always a pleasure to have Amal with us, who has, not had any problem forgetting about a hatred for a particular character over the last couple of weeks. I'm led to understand reliably. Is that true? Can you say more about these feelings?
Last week on Tuesday, between the hours of roughly 12 and 3, I found myself just animated by a searing fury with no outlet for it. And I couldn't tell why. I just was like, wow, I'm so mad right now. Why? Oh, that's why. Now here I am
That's
again,
why I'm mad.
experiencing a recurrence of these feelings, which I attempted to, at the start of the chat, fold into some sourdough pulling. The sourdough will no doubt be sourer.
I was gonna say, like, well
consequence.
needed. Like,
I
what
don't
would that
know.
mean? Like, this bread was baked in anger. Like, what?
This bread is baked in anger.
Fun fact, guys! In German, sauer means to means angry. So, which
Oh,
also means
nice,
sour,
angry
so-
dough. Okay.
Angry dough, yes, literally.
Angry dough. Absolutely. And I was literally doing this, and I was thinking, like, I thought first I was like, this is an awfully Hobbit-like activity. You know, I feel like this is fuck yeah, that particular Hobbit is very bad. I don't. What if I was folding his face into this dough and then shoving it in the oven? Anyway, that's fine. I'm fine. I'm playing a character called the River, who is a woodsman of Roscobel, and therefore a fighty bard, who has most recently, I thought, sunk both her axes, or at least one of them, into Longo's horrible face.
Yes.
With her faithful hound of Mirkwood named Stone, who is miserable right now, who is so upset, and as a consequence, I am upset.
Yes.
I mean, me, not just River. I mean, the dog is unhappy. You made a dog depressed. I mean, like,
What an awful.
Longo made the dog depressed.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but like Arf plays him, so it's
No. See. I'm just the
Ah,
messenger.
Here we go.
I'm just the messenger.
you're just a messenger.
I'm just channeling this rat bastard. I mean, like,
Characters
I don't,
take over.
Yeah, like that's all, you know. If all the villains that you faced if all the villains you faced were kind of like, well, the key is I'm sort of misunderstood, then it would be fine. It's because he's such a smug piece of crap that I like I said, but
I hate him so much.
it is a great pleasure to have him out with us. I will also say that I always appreciate the fact that the River as a character represents such kind of deep emotional resonance where you're always like, how's the party feeling right now? Look at the river. God, son of a, oh, you're always just like, that's basically how the party is generally feeling, So I want to point out that you have the super angry River in one room. You have the super angry Inga in the jail with like the axe poised, right? And then you've got Bolo like standing there feeling nervous about what's going to happen next, and Tawny and Stone super depressed in the other room. Like basically that's more or less what we've got going on and the kind of visual that we have here. So
I do have to say, like, it didn't really occur to me before this composition of the party that like the heaviest axe hitters in our party are the two super angry women. And it's like there's just something particularly, I don't know, healing to me about that in particular. It just makes me very joyful. Our cooks are like we're very gender norm bendy here. Like those of you who are doing the fooding are the gentlemen, and those of us doing the axe wielding are the ladies.
I get a really strong hit of that in Avengers Endgame when all the ladies show up to rent. I'm like, I love that scene.
Oh my god, I love it so much. Anyway.
Yep, I totally agree,
Also,
and I'm on board
one
with
of the
all
women is the one with the beard.
Yes.
Right.
Bend in all the genders.
Yep. No, absolutely. I'm here for all of it. I love it. And I am very, very pleased to have the crew back with us. And the recap of this is fairly simple because what they did in their last party, actually, let me fire up the music first. Again, combat music, since we are in the midst of a combat. Played by, there we go.
I'm going to heat up this tea one more time.
Okay. There we go. Yep.
She could just stare at it and pour her hatred in searing eye beams.
Heated by
right.
Yeah. So in the last session, the party had tracked its way to the notorious bandit Longo's lair. And at the very beginning, or the end, I guess the end of 2020, basically the end of the session, the party, Bolo had accidentally not been able to knock out his person. And the person was like, "Oi!" and sort of created a stir and a ruckus, you might say, and the entire world came pouring in. Not exactly, but all of the bandits, basically, except for the ones that were rendered unconscious to begin with, came in, and a large fight ensued. The party, most of the combat that we did last time, which ran, considering how many things were going on, ran fairly efficiently, I think. But the party has now gotten itself into a situation where Tani so far has been unhit, although that may or may not change coming up here. But Tani is affected by Shadow at the moment, has 4 Shadow points. Stone has been hit and is dealing with a point of Shadow. Stone was actually badly hurt until Tani was able to heal Stone, so that helped. The River has been hit several times and has a number of Shadow points still, but is also super pissed off, which I think we've already established here. Bolo is in big trouble health-wise. Bolo has got 1 out of 37 hit points after being knocked around quite a bit last time.
Oh, what? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he actually was lucky to survive when he crossed away from like an opportunity attack, but got dropped just to 1 point. And Inga's got 41 out of 48 hit points and is currently locked in a jail cell, but for how much longer, Chad? In the meantime, the situation that we have here on the ground is we have 3 unconscious bandits. You can see them here, and here. We have 1 not unconscious bandit that has been taking pot shots at Tani and others here. We have 1 non-frightened bandit that is trying to melee attack Tani. And then we have 3 bandits here who are really, really freaked out by the river. But since the river has left, they are only freaked out by the river, which means that they are really still, ticked off at Stone and at Tani. Now, Stone is still functional. Tani, at the moment, as you pointed out, is just kind of like, well, why didn't we listen? Thanks to the power of something that Longo is doing. And if you would say, well, what is Longo doing? What could actually cause this to happen? I'm glad you asked, because we do have a situation that's going on with Longo. Also, why is something weird is going on with my map. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, okay, this is what I thought. I don't know why it was doing this, but somehow my map got thrown off. Bear with me for just 1 moment. Nope, not like that. Not like this. Okay. I'm trying to get it so that everyone can see. Okay, I think I got it now, hopefully. All right. So, I think what it's doing is, for some reason, it's scrolling. You know what? Here, I'm just going to scroll out. Everyone can see it. Great. Okay. So, let me move this up here. Move this in here.
So you might want to move those 3.
Say they're literally off screen. Okay. So, as was pointed out, Longo at the moment has been revealed is indeed Clovis, or at least Clovis, the fake Clovis that we had at the very beginning of this. Clovis has been, throughout this combat, using some power of his to be able to affect the minds of the players, and to affect the minds of people around them, not the minds of the players, the minds of the characters. So he convinced Inga, for example, why would you want to attack me when, you're the one who invaded my home? And Inga thought that sounded extremely reasonable, but because of some power really overriding her own ability to kind of rationally think about what it was that he was actually saying. It seems absolutely ridiculous. And the same thing applied as well for Tani later on when Longo did the same thing. Fortunately, though, the party has not been completely abandoned. First of all, it's managed to eliminate a number of bandits. Secondly, it has some of them frightened. Thirdly, Brindle and the other Broken Stone Irregulars have finally managed to break in and make their appearance here. But as Brindle came to the door and is sort of taking in what's happening here, Longo still has got this sort of is kind of standing facing down the others. Bolo is, as I said, in big health trouble. The river is super angry with several axes in Bolo's face. In Longo's face. Not in Bolo's face. Bolo would not be around if he had axes in his face. So there's that, and then we have Inga, who's just about to bring her axe down on those things. And I think that we ended, I believe, with Inga was the person who's about to kind of break this down, and I think we were leading to the top of the round. So we are going to begin at the top of the round with the bandits, and sadly the bandits and then Longo get to go, and then Tani will need to make adjustments from here. Although Brindle has arrived, and maybe that will help. So. The bandits get first action here, and they are going to...
I do have a question as
Sure.
you're doing this. Now, effectively, Tawny, mechanically speaking, is charmed at this point. I think that's what we established last time.
Essentially, yes.
Then
But
you
you'll
know-
be able...
I thought you should go. Oh, sorry.
Well, what I was going to say is, so if his friends attack me, because like I can't attack him because I'm effectively charmed by it, but that would mean that his allies are also my allies. So if they attack me, does that run the risk of breaking it?
That's right. The thing that I'm trying to remember is if we did the... No, okay. Yeah. So that is correct. Although technically, now, to be clear, it says until specifically Longo is the one that you're charmed by. If Longo attacked you, that would be a problem. This may just be a bunch of deluded fools who have not listened to the will of Longo, Star Trek reference. So anyway, if that's, you know what I mean? So basically Longo, as long as he does not attack you, I don't think it's going to break your charm. With Longo, you might be like, why are these people attacking you? You know,
Are you not of the body?
Right. Exactly. I love that episode. We were talking about Wrinkle in Time before. Just quick note: my daughter, who has of course seen a lot of Star Trek, I can't imagine who would have showed her those. But she was talking about how much like, oh, Daddy, this is a lot like what goes on with with Landru. I'm like, yep. It predates that episode too, so I wonder how much they're affected by that. Anyway. And the power of it. Okay, so that is the deal. So with that said, the bandits here are going to attack the obviously not moving character in the room that's closest to them. So this guy is up here, not down there. So this bandit is going to fire away at you as I continue to use... I still love the stat block of Longo's trusted bandits. It really amuses me. Okay. All right, and let's move this back this way. Right, okay. So, 19.
Hit.
Okay. And that is going to do... Now, charmed, remember, does not mean incapacitated, so you're not getting, they don't have advantage necessarily to hit you. But
And it won't auto-crit, right?
Right, exactly. Okay, so 4 points of damage as it slams into your shoulder. So do you do the, like, why would you fire at me? I am your friend. Like, what? Or you just get more depressed? Like, just...
That's what I was thinking. I was just imagining this arrow just thunk in his shoulder. Like,
This is just so...
Why is everyone picking on me?
Right,
It's so
exactly.
unfair. Okay, then the two
I'm
guys...
the big cuddly one. What's going on?
One of whom is frightened, one of whom isn't, is going to attack. Now, I should say that all of these bandits are hurt, and a couple of them are hurt a lot. So, to the extent that makes anybody feel any better about this situation. Okay, the bandit is going to miss terribly with a 6. The one that is frightened of the river, but not of Tawny, is going to get an 18 on the second, on his attack.
Hits.
All right, so that is going to be 4 points of damage again. Very popular total for bandits these days.
Maybe down to
And
40
then
to 48.
48 or 48. And then, as I'm sure is going to make Amal feel even better about everything relating to this combat, 2 are going to attack Stone because big snarling dog. So, first one's going to miss horrifically with a 7, but the next one's a 19.
That will hit.
Okay, so, and that's, geez, does this roll anything other than this roll that I just got? Okay, well, 4 again. So that means that Stone is at 17, another slash across his side.
Just for my own knowledge, which one of them just did that?
That was this one right here on the left side.
Good to know.
Okay,
to know.
that's the just noting like marked for death. Okay.
Oh god, that reminds me of a scene in The Gamers 2 where it's like, which one of them kicked me in the face? That one, yeah, okay. And then you just see her pointing her spear at his crotch and stepping specifically.
That is good to know, exactly. Okay, so now one thing I just need to double check with Longo is up next. I know that Longo attempted to influence you, River, before, but I need to know specifically because I don't remember. I think Longo, like Bolo, were you? The best way to ask this is to ask Bolo. Bolo, did I ask you also to roll a saving throw against an effect that he did, or was it just the effect that I was doing on the River? Because he has 2 different versions of a similar thing. and I don't remember if he was trying to affect the group or just
Could be in the chat log.
the river individual.
Oh, do you mean when he came into the other room over here?
Yeah, well, yeah. Right,
Yeah,
you weren't
but-
affected by it because you were out of the room, right?
Right. By then, I had snuck over to like this point,
Gotcha, okay.
just inside this door.
Okay. So Longo steps back, and Longo sees that he has 3 people, none of whom are currently charmed by him. And, and he's still bleeding, and he's like, there's no reason for this level of unpleasantness. Absolutely no reason at all. And besides, all 3 of you, why would you engage in this kind of activity when you know that I'm just a symptom of what ails this city? I am just part of what Dale has created. Surely you can understand all of that. And he grabs his scabbard. As he does so, I'm going to ask Bolo and River, and I'm going to roll for Brindle, are all going to need to make here a charisma saving throw. And I want to express that before you make that saving throw for both of the 2 of you. As he says this, he almost seems to be putting effort into his words, is what it sounds like. And there is just this wave that you have of like peace and love and harmony, but it's not like yay. It's very like almost like being drowned in honey. It's this, that's the sort of experience of what it feels like. So, with that said, I will ask everybody to make try to make their saving throws as charisma. Yeah, there you go, exactly.
Hey, just out of curiosity, I was trying to look.
Oh
at,
God.
Oh no. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Get him out of the way early, Brad.
Yes. Why not?
Well, I was gonna ask, just as a point of information.
Oh no, she froze.
I'm on the Patreon page, and for some reason I cannot see. I don't know. Patreon has done something. Is there a tier above the tier that gives you 1 inspiration? Is there a different one that gives you an extra inspiration?
The way that this works is that the way that I allow the 2 inspirations, yes, is the answer to that. It's
Okay.
I think 20 instead of 10, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
I will feel both amused, impressed, grateful, and somewhat guilty though. If you're like, I want to get inspiration, here, have this. Like,
Amen.
but
Like, even if it's just for 1 month.
True.
Before I want to change it. I'm gonna change it.
oh well, I'm grateful, and yes, that's how it would be. It's the tier. It's whatever the 20. Not the
Okay.
10, but the 20 is what does.
Well, after I make this roll and stuff, I will. When I am feeling less fraught in my heart, I will do the mechanical things
That's cool.
required.
That's cool.
However,
you were welcome at that point. So did you want to use? Now remember, you can't inspire yourself. Be aware.
no,
Okay.
of course.
Yeah, but you can inspire someone else. Do you want to inspire Bolo? Was that the idea?
I would, but he's already rolled, so I don't know if that's okay.
It's okay.
But
I'll allow that in this case. It's all right.
okay, I like. Part of me is like,
Mostly because I want to see narratively how you inspire him. Like,
yeah. I mean, this is the
Pretty
thing.
good.
Great, you
Changed it
Bolo,
from a 3 to a 19.
You know, the thing is, okay. So I'm trying to think of this in terms of like timing and logistics. River has just attacked him with axes, and he is gritting his teeth and still trying to get this out, right?
Yep.
So I need to roll first to see what. I tell you what. Can I make the decision about the inspiration after I make my roll? The only reason I'm asking is because if I fail it, I'm trying to think of I'm imagining that being something that might freak Bolo out sufficiently to be like inspired or something to resist the same.
Sure, I guess I just don't understand why. Why does the decision need to happen after? I don't like.
Oh, only because I wanted to like flipping a coin for myself after I do the charisma save, just to see like if I failed it, then
just narratively in terms of how you.
Exactly.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna hang on then. Okay. I can't even get the correct tab. I'm too angry. Okay, charisma saving
Having
throw.
difficulty with. Shut up! You stupid. Yeah. This does
Yeah,
not
okay.
surprise me in the least.
All right, cool. Okay, so yes, so I want to give this inspiration to Bolo.
Okay.
And yeah, okay.
Give me 1 second, everybody.
Unless of course one can inspire an NPC, but I don't think so. So
What I imagine is that, like, you know, as she's doing the thing, it's like she's just like, "Shut up!" and getting ready to come into the next thing, and Bolo's like, "Whoa!" and that gives him the.
actually, like the narratively, the thing that I really want her to do is to now do songs of slaying. I want her to be like, okay, look, I can't shut him up with my axes. I'm gonna drown him out by scream singing. That's what I'm gonna do, and see if that has an effect. It probably, I mean, if this is like a
Is that a bonus action?
She gets 2 attacks. Well, sorry, this is a saving throw. So
No, I mean the song.
the song is an action, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it counts as an. What is happening?
That's the guy who's doing their move estimate.
Ah! It's like Arv just got replaced by someone else.
Kamala, I kind of wanted this to be like a Galadriel Frodo thing where you start speaking to me and time slows, you know, and your face brightens and you inspire me that way instead of action.
Oh, I like that too.
What would you say to Bolo to inspire him?
This is difficult because he did just completely ignore what she told him to do. If you were there outside, River had shouted like, "Get his scabbard!" and Bolo, animated by a spirit of tremendous optimism, chose instead to attempt to attack Longo. But
Oh, it's Arv.
Yeah.
Okay.
hey, who was that?
As folks know, we're planning to move next month, and so this is the mover doing an estimate. So apologies. It's kind of like this is weird. Like I have to, So silver woven, by the way, just so everybody knows, silver woven.
Nice.
Although I want to recommend KN94. They have disposable KN94 masks, which are the Korean variant that are very comfortable, fit much more closely, and are much less likely to be fake than the K95 Chinese versions, which it's hard to tell whether they're real or legitimate or not legitimate. So I recommend those. That's not what this particular one happens to be, but anyway, if people are looking, I don't know why we're talking about
You
masks.
say it's woven through with silver thread by Kelda, right? Yeah.
That's correct.
Oh!
Yes. That's correct. And you can it says KS right there, and then everlasting.
And a wave of sadness overcomes.
Everyone is disadvantaged. Son of a. Okay.
Next trend.
Yeah.
Good job, Trent. No. Okay, so sorry. So what was decided about while I was gone?
So River. So again, I'm trying to think of this like mechanically as well. I wish she would have like the generosity of heart to turn to Bolo and say something gentle to him, but I don't think that is her current frame of mind. So I don't think the Galadriel glowing, flowing thing. What she is going to do, having resisted this and gritted her teeth, is she's gonna start singing songs of slaying on her turn.
Okay.
So, which has a mechanical benefit of like conferring a die, like you can gift dice and stuff like that.
Yep.
But I like the idea of it also being inspiration in this case, since like the definition on River's sheet of like the warden thing. Warden's gift is you can inspire others through stirring words, through music, or by your presence alone. And that means gifting a 1d8 to a person of choice, but I'm just gonna say double that this time and just so when Longo says his nonsense, she just grits her teeth under this wave and starts singing a song that starts quietly and then builds into something keening and sharp, and when she sings this, it really is like she is singing an actual knife, and the light glinting off its blade is the sound of her voice, basically.
Hey, our quick question is:
Sure.
Is there a drum or a lute? And secondarily, can I dual class right now and join them all and like egg her on?
I mean, I would point out that, it's not that unusual, I think, to have a pan with a fork or spoon played on it for a particular episode.
Is there a pair of spoons? Yeah.
It's like the Will Ferrell, occupy the space. Da, 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 da. More cowbell. Anyway, yeah, unfortunately, sadly not. But okay, so we will see how that happens. In the meantime, though, because of the save, I guess just very quickly, because this is all happening still on Longo's turn, I should point out. So,
yeah.
But Bolo, are you how do you just very quickly? How are you imagining coming out of this? Because you again feel this, but because of the advantage, you do resist it. But how does it feel when this thing? Because he exerted every amount of it. So it's from Two Towers, when so great was the effort that Saruman exerted in this effort that no one was unmoved, right? Like he just basically, it's the full bore, and then Gandalf just laughs at him and is like, "You're a joker, get out of my face," basically. One of the best, my favorite moments in Two Towers, by the way, is that whole thing. Anyway, but so what is it like for you when you throw off this attempted influence?
Well, being so hurt, I think Bolo is feeling like he is just too powerful to resist. So he did overcome it, but he's feeling down. But that would be before the river starts singing too. Mm-hmm. So it might be that pendulum might swing fully the other way as the effects hit, and I don't know what those are exactly. So
okay,
I'll withhold the rest. But right now he's hurt. He's very nervous about doing anything. He's failed a whole bunch of times in a row at this point, and so he's feeling defeated.
So that's so Longo sort of sees that, and then of course the last person that we haven't spoken about yet is Brindle. And as Rivers, you begin to do this song. What?
And as soon as you said that, Tally looks up and you say Brindle, and she's like, "Oh," and then she looks back down.
Me?
No. Really funny.
And of course, that's the MVP, Brindle. Like, "Oh, what? God, shut up."
The one we've all been waiting to hear from.
Waiting for Brindle. So.
It also doesn't help that the first three letters in her name are also the same as in my name. So.
I do know this. Yes. So is Brindle, and so as you're beginning to do this song, and it's just beginning to sort of take shape, and Longo is kind of staring, at you and looks sort of a little confused, and he takes sort of one step back, and from behind you, you actually hear River and Bolo. You might even through your depression be able to sort of look up and see that Brindle is sort of shaking her head, and then. Oh, that's good, that one. That's good. So you think you can look at me and tell me that up's down and black's white, eh? That's not how this is gonna go. None of this is how it's gonna go anymore. You can take your magic and put it away where the sun don't shine. And that's where I'm gonna stick my blade in your guts. So she steps forward. Longo is very, very clearly perturbed by this, and he literally turns and books it. Now, at this point, absolutely. Oh yeah, for sure. Go this way. So go ahead and make your attack of opportunity.
Okay. Gosh, I've never gotten to do this before.
Sourdough.
Sourdough.
Just hamstring him. He won't get far.
Or Lindquist, rather.
Sweep the leg. What, Sensei? Sweep the leg.
Get disqualified.
You have a problem with that?
Oh my God!
No
I only know where that's coming from. Because I've been reminded by by what's it fucking called? The TV show. Cobra Kai. Thank you.
Wait, have you not seen the original Karate Kid?
No, I have.
Good.
But I would not have remembered
because of that. I got you.
For the Cobra Kai is so
surprisingly good. It really is. Yeah,
so good.
It surprisingly is. Yeah. No mercy.
Lindquist. Sourdough. So that's. Oh, come on. Do I only get the one, or do I get 2 attacks like on my turn?
I would say you get 2, but you get 1. You actually wait. Do you hit?
I got an
You do
8
not.
and
Yeah,
14.
neither one of those hits. So yes, you will get a
Oh.
second attack. Neither one
Okay.
of those hits though. He has got this leather corselet, and he is small and shifty.
Roll higher.
Oh, no.
How do I beat this guy? Roll, get good.
What did I say?
Aha,
There's a
yes,
6.
both of those will hit.
Hey! Hooray! All right. Oh, actually, oh, sorry. Never mind. I got excited over nothing. Wait, that was 1, and this is 2. That's 14 points of
14.
damage.
Okay, so now that doesn't kill him, but it opens up a big score along his back, and he kind of staggers forward. Now, Bolo, technically, since you are hurt, but you could theoretically get an attack on this guy as he goes by if you want.
Yeah. So what did the Rivers song do?
Has not taken effect
Hasn't taken effect
because his
yet.
attack of opportunity on his turn. So
Yeah. I have
Oh.
to make that song. This is why, like, the narrative versus the mechanic hasn't quite cohered in my head. Like,
Well,
yeah. Sorry.
I would suggest I would need to make some kind of roll to do it. Like I sort of want to, but I'm scared of failing and like messing things up and stuff. So
then I would say let me have you make a wisdom check then. Not a saving throw, I would say a check.
check.
Natural 20.
Wow.
Yeah.
Suddenly you feel the glory of like
Oh my gosh!
Hulk Hogan from the
I love that it's a natural 20 and it's -1.
yeah, amazing. So natural 20. Yeah, so you do. I don't know. You tell me. You tell me what you feel.
Yeah. Okay. I will. I mean, I don't have much. I just want to try to trip him. Actually,
You can try to do
Exactly
that.
what I was gonna say.
Yep, you can try to do that. What I would say is yeah, you can. So what you'll do is you'll
could I
attack.
have acrobatics? Could I do something just to sort of get my
Maybe
body in a way such that it would make him trip or make him make a save or something like that?
Maybe. Tell me how you might do that. If
I really just want to tangle his legs with mine. Kind of like roll over and like tangle us both.
Might
up
kind of be a
together.
grapple, effectively.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think
I'm
what
totally
I'm gonna
envisioning you kind of doing a sort of slide with legs, like using both your legs to kind of grab and topple his legs.
like a capoeira move.
Yeah, literally, that's what's in my head.
My legs on
Everyone
my
looks
back.
up, you're like,
Wah!
Yes, I would allow you to do that. The what we'll do is we'll call this. I think because you're trying to do basically a dexterous move, we'll do opposed dexterity checks here. So if you have acrobatics, I'll take that. Otherwise, dexterity, just a straight dexterity check would be fine.
Okay.
All right, a 12. So we'll see how he does. Oh wow. Well, I think 12 is higher than a 7. So he goes running towards it, and you trip him, and he falls and lands a couple of feet from the trapdoor that you all came through to go down to the tunnel. So let me just put that. Let me put him down as prone with the classic image. Okay. Okay. So he is down on the ground, panting heavily, bleeding, etc. Tani, this is going to lead to you. Now, you're not going to be able to do anything until the end of your turn, at which point you will have to make, let's see.
Wisdom, I think.
Right. Yeah, actually, I don't actually think you're affected as much by this. Because you got a point of shadow from this last time, didn't you,
Yes.
Tani? Okay, so that's what this was. So you will need to make a charisma saving throw here. You actually were not charmed; you were incapacitated. So, which is okay because of the rolls they made. It doesn't matter. So this was the second of the two things he does that are related. So you need to make a charisma saving throw. This is at the end of your turn, but if it works, then you have your
I will be back. Halo
agency
Hardy.
back again. Yes.
Yeah.
Hey!
yeah. So how's that look, Tani? When you're just like, are you kind of like, what the?
he's just sitting there, just kind of leaning on the staff, and and the arrow hits him in the shoulder, and he just, there's that split second of his old berserker rage comes back, and he just looks over his shoulder like, that hurt, and just stands back up and looks at the guys in front of him, is like, all right. And
I can imagine the bandits being like, why did you do that? Why did you hit him in the shoulder?
he was just gonna lay there and do nothing, and you screwed this up, Kevin. It's always you.
It's always Kevin's fault. Okay.
Kevin
so
is
you are
there,
no
Bolo.
longer incapacitated. And now your turn. Now again, that was the end of your turn, but you will now be able to operate as yourself. Okay, that leads us to Stone, who is going right before you, River. So what do you want Stone to do? There are multiple bandits around, obviously. Target-rich environment.
Did he shake off his own funk? I can't remember.
Yes.
Yes, he did. Okay,
Yes.
great. Excellent. I am going to treat. Wait, did they? Well, he did also just get hit. So, but I am going to think that he heard River and was a little.
Oh
bit...
wait, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to interrupt. I take that back. No, because he was still under the same effect that Tani was having. I forgot we had gone that round. I apologize. So he has to make a charisma saving throw. Sorry, I don't have him marked the way.
But he's a really charismatic dog.
Oh no.
Well,
for sure.
I think so, and yet, on his character sheet, infuriatingly, bafflingly, would you believe that he has charisma -2? I don't.
No.
Believe, he's a dog.
Yeah,
Dogs
I
are
believe
like-
that's a misprint. I
What
think it's a
You
plus
need to
2.
train him. You need to fellowship phase. Train him into be more. No. You shake hands like this,
My gosh. Anyway,
Gets like the super
so-
effective thing, and everybody's
yeah,
like, oh.
so I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna roll. But I'm scared for Stone. I don't know if anyone will.
I have
It's
faith.
probably no. I mean, I don't.
You
I
It's
have
fine.
faith.
But I'm gonna roll. Okay.
Oh, it was sitting on it too. I was like right there, and then it rolled back.
It was-
No, he still feels extremely depressed about the world, and is still incapacitated as a result, sadly. And he's just sort of,
Maybe next turn when he hears River,
maybe that will affect things. Could be. But that leads us to you, the River. And
Oh, great.
Bolo is on deck.
Great. So. All right. People in here can also hear her.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Probably people right outside the window can hear.
Because there's people starting. Well, you only know about Brindle, but yeah, there are
Right.
people starting to
Right.
come in.
So I'm just gonna remind myself of Songs of Slaying. Oh, interesting. Right. Okay. So I forgot. So Warden's gift is inspire people through stirring words, music, etc. However, Songs of Slaying is expend one of your Warden's gift dice to give all of your allies within 30 feet an additional D4 on their next attack roll. Alternatively, any creature that has one of your Warden's gift dice may roll the die and add the number rolled to a weapon damage roll that they just made.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna do Songs of Slaying, but I would like to ask preemptively whether in Stone's case he can add that D4 to his next charisma save if he has to do that.
So I just need to double check because is it on?
It specifies attack roll. It is called Songs of Slaying, but I'm only thinking of it in the context of him and River and of like being a sort
Yeah,
of.
I'm gonna say no though because it's not really the principle of what Song of Slaying is. There are other general inspiration things that you're able to do, like for example,
Like Warden's Gift, I think.
yeah,
But-
I mean,
But that's a targeted one-person thing.
yeah, I Well, no, can roll the die and add number roll to one ability check, attack roll, or saving throw it attempts. That's fine.
Oh, great. Okay, never
That's
mind.
fine if it's
Okay.
Warden's Gift. I mean, like, because Song of Slaying. Where the heck is Song of Slaying? Why can I not find this? Anyway, Warden's Gift. Yeah, I would say that's okay. Warden's Gift would allow you to be able to do that. I do want to point out this is not going to affect Inga because she's too far away.
No, no, exactly. It's gonna affect. I think it's gonna affect Bolo, Brindle, Tawny, and Stone.
And Longo, thanks. No, yeah.
You're no ally of mine.
Okay.
But I could be.
Hatred, so much hatred. So okay. So she's gonna do that. The other question I have is, I think she is going to, I mean, so how badly hurt is Longo? Like, she doesn't, as furious as she is, doesn't actually want to kill him, but
He's
she does.
pretty badly hurt.
She does want to like knock him out and make it so that he's not going to speak anymore. So
Okay, well, I think you could probably do that. I do want to point out that anytime you attack him, you have disadvantage on attack rolls. Be aware, and this is something about him.
Right.
But yes, you could try to do it and then just essentially convert it into non-lethal damage. You can always do that. So you're trying to basically do enough damage to knock him out. So if you did non-lethal above the amount of his current hit points, whatever that is, then you would knock him out.
Okay, great.
So
okay.
the flat of your axes, I guess, but
Yeah, exactly.
By the side of his head.
Now remember, he is currently, because he's prone, you will have advantage on attacks against him, but because of the situation I just said, that disadvantage that you would have cancels out. So it's just a normal attack on him on the ground.
Did this also apply to the attack of opportunity? Should I have
No.
factored this in? Oh, okay. Cool. Okay, so Songs of Slaying and attack are what she is doing for here. So so singing like light on the edge of a knife blade, and raising her voice increasingly to be heard by everyone around, River goes into attack.
I would say, especially if Tawny, the frightened bandits in your room are all like very nervously looking over their shoulders as this keening cry echoes through.
Oh, that
yeah.
voice, don't you?
Away. Kathunk. Kathunk.
Okay, so
22 will hit.
22 will hit. Yep. 8 will not.
That is 4 points of damage.
Okay, so 4 non-lethal essentially, right?
Mhm.
Okay. He's not down yet.
Can she also, is the moving the bonus move? I want to just get her somewhere where she's preventing him from escaping.
So the only problem is that you've got let me see.
I've got 2 attacks per round.
Yeah. Well, actually, and you would have moved up because these are shelves here, so they're you would have to move around to basically. This door is still closed because you came through and closed it. So you could be standing on top of it, and that might solve all your problems because you're just jumping over him since he's prone.
He means here,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah.
Yes,
No,
thank you.
I
Right
thought
there.
I thought the long things were tables. Sorry.
Nope, they're shelves. So yeah, you can move around, and it's always allowed. You can step over Bolo also. Them both being halflings doesn't hurt that situation. Okay. So yeah, so you're standing on top of it, and you could do your second attack if you wish. All of this is fine.
I think my Songs of Slaying was probably 1 attack.
Oh yeah, because you started that this turn. That's right.
But what I would like to do, if I can do this while he's prone, is get the scabbard off him.
That's going to be an action. That's not something
Oh.
you can. Yeah, you can't just grab it off him.
Okay.
He has it belted on and has very much a vested interest in not letting you have it. So,
Right.
Yeah. So I would say you can try to do that next turn if you like, but.
Is also he's prone. Okay. I'm sorry. I should have asked for this information before I took my actions, but like, can she, like, since he is prone, can she just like position herself so that he can't reach the scabbard, like like put her
No.
feet on his hands or something?
No, I wouldn't say so. That would be the equivalent of the same thing as trying to actually get it to remove him. To do that, you basically have to reach down, and it would be the equivalent of like grappling him, and you attacked him instead of doing that. So, I would say not. You can, because remember the scabbard's right at his belt. In fact, he has a hand on it now. So, yeah, I would say not. Next turn, you can spend your whole turn if you want doing all of these things, trying to rip his hand off and take the scabbard off.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say that she's still singing all the same.
No, I believe
Very
that.
loudly and stuff for whatever that is worth.
I believe that completely. That leads us to Bolo. So Bolo, you were also prone, of course. You're down on the ground with him. What do you want to do?
So, yeah, so he's still close by. I would like to take my knife, my tiny little cooking knife, paring knife, whatever, and cut his belt off and take away his scabbard if I can.
Sure. What I will say about that is I'm going to make that... Well, let's make that an attack roll.
Okay.
Because, yeah, the way that he's got it, I think that's fine. It helps that he's also worried about the singing, very threatening, angry person in front of him, but...
Also, you get a bonus D4 to use either. Let me remind myself.
On attacks too, right? Or ability
Yeah.
checks or saving throws?
So it's either on your next attack roll. Alternatively, any creature that has one of the Warden's gift dice may roll the die and add the number rolled to a weapon damage roll that they just made. So I'm not sure which way makes more sense here, but either way, you have 1d4 either for the attack or for the damage from the attack. So I don't know how Arv wants to do it.
Well,
if
so
it were
what...
to me, I would have done on attack for sure, just to make sure it
Okay.
went. I'm not super skilled.
Here's the thing: you actually, because you're also prone, but you have advantage on this attack because you're prone with him. So he is prone; it's a melee attack. So that means you're really working with an 11. So yeah, you can use that, and you can use that die if you wish. Which is a D4 to do it.
I will do that. Can you do
2? Your knife just misses. Like he basically rips away at the last second.
right.
Like just misses, and he doesn't even try to give you a clever quip because he's in a bad way. So he's just kind of like get away, type of thing. You could still move. Now you could stand up if you wish, Bolo.
I'm actually just gonna. Well, could I? That would probably be a grapple if I tried to just like keep him down.
That's a grapple.
Like grab his legs.
It's a grapple. You
Okay.
could
then
stand up next to him and be ready to try to grapple him next round.
Is he on the like the trap door goes straight? There's like a ladder that goes
Correct.
down, right?
Yeah.
Has he opened it yet?
No,
I'm standing.
because the river is standing on top of it.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
Then I will stand and just back away slightly.
Good.
sounds good. So go ahead and move your yeah, I was gonna say, and he's not gonna get any kind of attack there because you're just shifting away from him. Okay, and then just make sure to take off the prone little marker from your guy. You were no longer
Not
prone.
that. That means you're dead. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and that leads us to, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for. Grindle's people. No, I'm just kidding.
God damn it!
Right, I'm gonna get the shotgun. I'll be right back.
The camera focuses on some guy, and you're like, what? No, it focuses on Inga dramatically poised over the lock on the bar. So you were trying to basically knock the lock to Kingdom Come, yes? Is that...
So this is like probably like an iron kind of made thing,
It is.
right?
It is.
Okay, so what I would like to do is basically break the, oh god, what is that called in English? Like the little,
The little,
like from the lock?
the tongue of the lock, basically, that goes over the...
I don't know.
Yeah, tongue
Like the
or
thing
tab.
that like goes into the wall, basically.
The bolt.
Yeah. The bolt,
Yeah,
yeah.
the bolt. Okay, yeah, like basically try to break that.
Yep.
Vicious Fury.
No, absolutely. Now, be aware, you may not be able to do this all on one turn. It may take like 2 attacks or something to do it. You don't know yet. Because this is not rusty, I'm sorry to say. Unfortunately, they did apparently use this cell. So...
And there is one of Brindle's people standing right outside the door, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And like they were the one telling you to sort of get out of there.
Right.
So yes, you could also shout something at him. He said
Yeah,
you
no,
thought
I
that
already
maybe Longo had
shouted
the key.
to him, like, I'm getting out of here!
Right. And he like took a couple steps back, like, whoa.
Yeah. So yeah, I do that. So do I just roll for attack or?
Yes. Won't be too difficult an attack. This thing is not particularly. This iron door does not dodge very well.
I need to check real quick because I am using my fancy schmancy magic axe.
Yes. Runes of Victory, or
Yeah, that don't.
Yeah, little known subtext. It
that
actually
doesn't-
has like advantage to destroy iron gates.
Yeah, it's a plus 30 to attack
Yeah,
and
yeah.
damage. Yeah. Mhm.
yes. No, you win. No, this is good because you don't
right.
crit on ones
You
and
crit on
20.
ones.
Yes.
Mhm.
Did I not just say Runes of
Yes,
Victory?
thank you. I was like about to. Oh God, is this going on again?
So max damage. What is your what's the damage total on your axe?
Max damage would be 14.
Okay. Yeah, that's going to destroy the bolt. That's not a problem.
Yes.
So you bring it down.
Okay.
Blam! Door goes flying open. The guy's
No,
like,
no,
"Whoa."
wait. Better.
Well, I'm telling you, it goes
So
flying
I-
open. You can do what you want after that, but
I breaks the fucking bolt, pull my axe back, and kicks the fucking door down with my
Oh,
axe.
I see. Bang!
Do
So
it.
he's like,
and
like,
I'm just
he points to the room. He's like, oh, he's in there. Like he points that way.
right. So, you know what? I'm just gonna jump over the fucking bed because I'm so pissed. So
I was waiting
what
for you
is
to
that?
try to
30 feet,
Kool-Aid man
25.
through the wall, which you would not have been able to do, but.
So I make it over here. Wait. No, never mind. Never mind. I can't use my scout ability here because I don't think that a door counts as an enemy. So
no. I'm sure you felt like it did for a moment, but
so yeah, I guess that's my turn.
okay. But you were out. Are you yelling something as you're just like, you bastards? Like
No, but like there's this very loud, rapid stomping, angrily sounding stomping coming from her
Okay.
general direction.
Probably like Han Solo chasing after the storm.
Right, exactly. Okay, so at the
You
end of the round, Brindle is going to go along with her Broken Stone Irregulars. More of them are starting to come in the window besides the guy you just talked to. And Brindle yells out the door, "Oi, get in here, you lot, and take care of them!" And she looks at you and she kind of through the shelves, so basically I guess she can see Bolo. So she just ducks this way long enough to see the situation. And she's like, "Right, mind you don't kill him. I got my own questions for that bastard." And then she goes this way and goes like right at one of these bandits, who is right now right there.
And Mal, you had something?
I
Apparently
just have
she's
a
also
question
in.
about where Inga got to. Like,
Right here.
because she gets 2 attack moves and the
No,
bonus.
she gets a move and an attack. There's no bonus move. She gets a move
She
and an attack. She attacked the door, and that
Yeah,
was her
but she
action.
gets 2 attacks, doesn't she?
Yeah, but that, no,
That's
no.
not movement.
Okay.
That's not moving.
Oh, see. So you can't parlay one attack
No.
to
No,
another.
sadly,
Oh,
there is no attacking space as you walk over it, though.
I mean,
I'm sure.
no.
That could be Kool-Aid manning the wall.
Yeah,
but
that would
no.
be
Okay, fair. Okay.
Oh,
Cool.
you know,
Oh,
yeah,
no.
sadly not.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Oh, it's the best moment. All right. So she actually slams one of these guys in the back. Actually, that's enough to kill this guy. She's apparently not happy either. So
Ha!
one of those is down.
Which one? The one that hurt the dog?
No.
No, that one is still against the wall.
Okay, that's fine.
And that's where he's going to die.
And that's what's going to die. All right. It's a good day to die. All right. So now it is their turn. So the bandits are not feeling good about the situation. This one's going to loose a shot at Tawny and miss horrifically. This one that's on the table is going to, well, critically hit Tawny, so that's unfortunate.
No, he's not.
Oh yeah, do you have the thing?
Immunity to crits.
That's right. Immunity to crits. Okay, still going to hit with a nonetheless with a 24 though.
Yep.
Okay.
What gives you immunity to crits? Is that
My
high-
armor.
His special armor.
Oh, very cool.
Okay. that
Ancient
is-
Cunning Make. +1 to AC. Weight is 1/4 of normal. Strength requirements are waived. I do not suffer disadvantage on stealth checks, and the wearer is immune to critical hits.
4 damage again, Tawny, which has you at 36. I
Nice and
believe.
consistent.
I know, it's amazing. Okay, that person misses terribly. And that leads the one who is still attacking Stone and is going to continue to do so because in the confusion is not aware that Brindle is there yet. And that's a 14 to hit Stone.
Oh,
Now,
wait.
Stone is incapacitated, actually, so this I think is going to.
But
automatically hit.
no, I mean, his armor is 16.
Let me double check on the incapacitation. I think that creates advantage, but we'll see. We shall see.
It gets worse than that.
Can't take actions or reactions. Yeah, I feel like that sort of automatically has to... No, because actually I take that back. Because paralyzed would be a situation where attack rolls have advantage, and it doesn't say that for incapacitated. Okay, so yeah, so his armor is normal, which means that a 14 will not hit.
Yay!
So that's he's not happy about that. Okay, so that leads us to everyone's friend, Longo. So Longo, who is, bleeding heavily and is...
Wait, no, never mind. I forgot the order. Sorry.
And he kind of looks up and at your disturbing, image and says, I understand.
Can't hear you. I'm singing so loudly. Can't hear you. Sorry.
And he sort of, so he's kind of drowned out. And he snarls and then he says, fine. Then you can follow him to hell too. And so he is going to, 5 feet back.
Is that the river's defense to this? Is la 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 la
I
la.
can't hear you. Trying to think if he's going to do this or not. I think actually what he's going to do is he is going to... You moved 5 feet away. Is he going to risk that? Okay, here's what he's going to do. He is going to attempt to... He's basically going to roll. He's going to shift 5 feet away from you, so that does not provoke an attack. So he's going to shift here. And he's going to try to stab Bolo. So...
Oh, you little...
Yeah, so that's what he's going to do.
Oh, man.
Because he's really... this is clearly not his number one goal, but this is... that is a 21 to hit. Is that a hit, Bolo?
Yeah, say it.
That's a 21 hit.
moment.
What kind of question?
Is that 8? So that's 8 points of damage, which I think means that Bolo is down.
Oh my god!
Down, but not dead.
Not dead, but...
I know, but...
I'm
Hobbit
gonna-
on Hobbit violence! It's just so hard to
Did you say you're
see.
going to use some special Hobbit thing not to have this happen? Is that
Well, I'm going to use Uncanny Dodge, which will have the damage, so at least I'm not
And you can do that 'cause
imminently
you're not
going
prone.
to
That makes
die.
good sense. Yeah, absolutely. That's a good idea. So you're at -3 then instead of -7.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're -3. Bolo, you see, slumps to the floor, and Longo looks back at you, River, and gives this sort of cruel smile and says, "Let's see if your desire for vengeance outweighs your compassion for your friend."
Oh my god.
And
See that they're mutually exclusive.
for this
Wait,
guy. Okay, that's going to lead us to Tawny.
As I pass out, I say, "Don't worry about me."
Save the lightsaber!
Get him!
If this were my other game, the game that I play with my housemates and our sorcerer were to say, "Don't worry about me," my character would be like, "All right." Just go with something.
Yeah, I'm just like, wait, I just need to a second to clarify his words here. Will your desire for vengeance outweigh your compassion for your friend? I'm like, wait, but I mean,
if you're about to say he's being a hypocrite, I would absolutely acknowledge that. Longo does not have
no, it's
philosophical
just literally
consistency.
he has not presented me with an impossible choice. It was like, no, I can both punch you in the face and also help my friend.
He
These are not.
probably isn't thinking of. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of options, right? So,
No.
Tawny.
Tawny is going to whack this dude in the face.
Okay, directly in the face, I assume.
Directly in the face.
Okay, and that guy is one that's hurt. This guy over here is actually fresh, but
19.
that will hit for sure.
And he is going to take 6 points of bludgeoning damage.
That actually is going to take this guy out. You knock him backwards over the table, and the other not hurt bandit looks nervously around and sees the numbers are dwindling rapidly.
Right. And so Tawny points at the dude with the bow while looking at the guy on the table and says, "This is his fault.
And the bandit kind of nervously glances in
What's
his direction.
about to happen to you is his fault."
Okay. Are you moving anywhere, Tawny?
No.
Okay. That means it's up to Stone. So Stone, you get another charisma save here.
Plus a D4 that he can roll in support of that. If
Correct.
yes, here we go.
Because he hasn't used that D4 yet, right?
No, he hasn't.
Okay.
Okay, so there's an 11 on the board.
Yep.
Mhm.
Is what does he need to get the?
I normally wouldn't say...
Roll a 4.
Well, roll
Don't
high.
even worry about it. Just roll a
Roll
4.
high, yeah. Roll high.
Kate and Toddler.
Just like that.
Yeah, there you go. So he just like, like growls at the bandit, and the bandit's like, "Oh, oi, nice puppy, nice puppy." Yeah. So he's clear of his. Now you can't attack with him this turn, but he's now back to his old smiling self, albeit hurt. Okay, River, you are up, and you have just seen what Longo just did.
Huh? Yeah, I'm gonna attack him.
Attack this bastard.
I mean, so she's been singing all this time, but at this moment, the song becomes like an active, piercing
Super metal,
scream
yeah.
as she drives forward to Kathunk.
Still non-lethal, yes?
Yes,
okay.
still non-lethal.
Okay.
So I think the 18 will hit.
Yeah, and remember, he's still prone, so you get advantage on attacks against him. But
Oh!
Sorry, but
Wait,
no,
he's
it's
not-
canceled. It's canceled because he has the thing. So it's just a normal attack.
Oh, it's
so
just
yes,
normal.
the 8
Right.
misses, but the 18 will hit.
Okay. He's still prone? He's still on the floor.
Yep.
So he
he's
literally
still
right.
prone. He literally
He's
just rolled
rolled
over
over.
to try to.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
From
Okay.
Hell's Heart I
Sorry,
Stand
let
to
me
Be type
take
of-
a second to. I mean, obviously she is still gonna attack him. I'm just. Well, I'll roll damage for this attack
I
anyway.
was going to say, you still have to roll damage.
Yeah. So that's 8.
Okay, he looks extremely like he was already hurt, obviously, and now he looks very almost close to unconscious. Not
So-
quite, but like a stiff breeze might take him the rest of the way.
So I have one more attack, and I'm just like, do I attack his stupid belt, or do I attack him and then cut off the belt? And that's where I'm like, yeah. No, I don't think she's thinking that straight right now. I think it's more like, must just shut up this horrible hobbit.
Horrible.
Okay. So one more attack, Kathunk.
A horribit. If you would.
Kathunk.
Ooh, take the 17.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, the 14 will miss, the 17 will hit.
A 7.
Yeah. So you slam him in the face with with your blade, and he's just like, and he just collapses unconscious onto the ground. And you see behind him the equally unconscious figure of Bolo. Let's see. Let's go with that. Unconscious and prone.
Right. So
yeah.
she's got like a move action right
Yep,
now,
she's
right?
got to move left. Mm-hmm.
So, okay. I mean, what I want very much is for her to like scoop Bolo up and bring him to Tawny, or to just at least move to him.
I can let you get to him and pick him up, but you can't move any further once you do those things.
That said, she really wants to get the. What is the thing that I need to do
the
now?
scabbard. So because it's still, he's got his hand on it, although he's unconscious, of course, and it's around his belt. So what I'll let you do next turn, if you want, I mean, you can basically move to Bolo now. What I would let you do next turn is you could cut with one action, the scabbard off, and then you could pick up Bolo and bring him into the other room.
The scabbard is empty? There's nothing in the scabbard?
There is nothing in the scabbard.
Huh.
Although not now, but he does have his short sword in his hand from when he stabbed, so it could be that the sword was in the scabbard. But yeah, and you feel, I should say, by the way, you feel uncomfortable even looking at it. In fact, I might show a picture of this scabbard later. But yeah.
Okay.
Your-
It's got
your
an
particular
erotic picture of
feelings
David Hasselhoff on it. Ugh.
Yeah, it's very creepy. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So I'm gonna move her here.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like. I want her to take that off him before like. I mean, Bolo is more important, but the things that he is able to
that's
do
fine.
with us are too
You
scary.
could do that next turn. That's okay. And speaking of Bolo, we need to have Bolo make a death save. Hey. So, for the death save situation, you are going to be basically rolling a 20-sided die. A 10 or less is a death fail. A 1 to 9 is a failed save. A 10 or above means a success. 3 failures and you're dead. 3 successes and you're stabilized. And if you happen to roll a 20, then you're like 1 hit point returned. A critical fail, though, means that you get 2 death fails. So, yeah.
And where you see all the little pips for your death saves, successes, right under that it says death saves, you can just click the word death saves. It'll roll it for you automatically.
Yep.
Can I, right before you do this, is it possible to add to my move that she like called out, like Tawny, very shrilly?
Oh, sure. Yeah, you could
Okay,
definitely yell that out. Tawny would probably hear that.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, 1
Success.
Success. Lovely.
Hey, well done.
Okay, so that
You can-
leads
Good
Good
us-
job not dying.
Tick one of the success boxes.
Yep.
Did-
And that leads us to everyone's favorite Kool-Aid man wannabe, and that's Inga, who now gets a chance to move. Now, you
Inga's
notice
way
behind you, people are just, like I said, climbing in the windows and all that. So, what do you want to do, Inga?
Okay, so what does this
He's
the picture
unconscious.
on this? He's unconscious. Okay,
Yeah, he's
so
the
I'm
only one
just
beat up on
gonna
the bed.
run past him over here. So
Okay.
that's my 25 feet of movement.
Yep.
Which
And you
still
now see the
sounds wrong.
situation. You can just see around the edge that Bolo is on the ground and not looking very good. You don't see anyone else, though, although you hear the singing for sure.
Longo!
Silence.
Run over and immediately
I think
axe the
it-
Hobbit. Wrong one!
I think actually at this point her singing has stopped, just so you know. Like, I
Oh,
think
okay,
that
okay.
She
So then
called
you-
out for Tawny and then
Right.
And then
the-
stop with it. Okay, gotcha.
And then Inga came in.
Yeah, exactly.
Do I have any cool abilities that I can use here?
You've got Flame of Hope, I think.
Oh,
Though I
that's
don't know if
right! I
that-
have Flame of Hope! That's a very good call, but, where does it say? Here does it say.
I say this because, like, obviously, River also has Flame of Hope, and I was thinking of that for.
Is that an action or a bonus action? Or an item
It's an
action?
action. It's yeah. Allies lose frightened, gain inspiration, and heal 1d6 plus 3.
Yep. Well, I can't really see yet what's going on, so no, I'm gonna dash instead.
Okay.
How high up are these bookshelves?
Probably about 5 to 6 feet, somewhere in there. So 15. What does that work out to? Is it 3 feet in a meter? So
Roughly.
2.5
12.
meters. 2 meters. 2.5 meters.
3 foot.
Can I see look like through them or anything? Or are they
Yeah, you
like,
can see a couple things. There's a lot of things stacked on them, but you can kind of see roughly. You think you see what looks like possibly the river's cloak or something through there.
Because it's more like
Okay,
shelves
but
of
like-
like cans and jars
Okay.
and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not books.
So can I tell that nobody's standing behind them, just next to them?
I would say, yeah. I mean, I would say that maybe the river is just slightly between them, but not by much.
Can we just talk? Is that like, if you called out?
You
could
got
Yeah.
6 seconds.
Yeah. Did she come in and say Longo?
Yeah, she screamed for Longo.
So you were.
He's down. I've got him down, but Bolo's down too.
Turns around and runs back to the cell. Never mind.
My work here is done. Closes the door.
So what is the reach on that? Just says allies. So how long is the reach on Flame of Hope?
I feel like if you're positioned here, that, I mean, Is there a limit on the number? I don't
It
think
just
so.
depends on whether it's close effect or not.
And
Well,
I
I'm
just wanna-
assuming it's like in shouting distance, probably, right?
I also want to just double check, like, would it actually affect Bolo if he is
Yes.
incapacitated? Okay.
Yes, it would, because that would stabilize him.
Yeah.
Usually,
I
anyway.
agree. Yeah, all of your allies within 30 feet. Yes, that's fine.
30 feet,
And just
okay.
remember that you haven't used. You have to take a long rest in between these. So you haven't used this yet, right?
I haven't used this at all yet.
Yeah.
Well, you could definitely do that.
We last
So-
used this in the snowy mountains.
Oh yeah,
You know, with the place, the fortress, the dragon.
the stuff.
The place was the thing. So as soon as River says that Bolo is down, Inga screams at the door, "Longo, I'm gonna murder you!" And and with that, her X starts to glow, and everybody gets 1d6 plus 3 HP. Well, my allies, which includes
So you roll that.
uh,
Okay, so you roll the
Brindle
one-
and her gang.
Right. So you roll the 1d6 plus 3.
Yep.
And then,
Oh, you roll that. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh!
Well,
So 4.
4. Listen, it's better than 0. And
It's
remember, for Bolo, when you get healed, you start at 0. So that means that Bolo is up to 4. You hear the sound of an angry dwarf screaming. And it's like, "Come back!" Type
Stone
of
also gets to heal 4 points, right?
thing. Say again.
Stone also gets to heal 4 points.
Let me see. Yeah, I would say so.
Ally.
You
He's
basically
an
are standing in between doors.
Well, also her X doesn't glow. Like, I mean, nobody's gonna see that anyway. But like basically, there's this like blink it and you miss it gleam on the X. If you will.
Right.
That sounds more appropriate.
Okay, so Stone is up to 21 out of 28. Tani, I have you at 40 out of 48.
Oh, I also get it.
Right.
River, I have you at 41 out of 50. And then Bolo, we said, is 4. Now, allies does not count you, though, Inga, so I don't think it affects you. I think it affects...
I could do mine next. And then-
You just,
I'm
all
my
you-
own ally.
So,
I'm not
so the
fighting
image is just the
myself.
2 of you screaming at each other like, "Yo, I'm healing you! No, I'm healing you!"
I really you. It's funny because I have expended all my warden's gift dice at this point, so I can't do like stanching song of the
Right.
woodsman. But yeah. I should.
But I assure you, Art, like Inga does have her own interest very much at heart, so she would count as her own ally.
Yeah, sadly, you
You
cannot be
have
your
to
own
learn
ally.
to love yourself before you can love someone.
Just as I've begun to learn that one cannot be one's own barber or hairstylist, it's also the case you cannot be your own ally.
Excuse me, I used to cut my own hair all the time back when I had bangs.
Well,
Why don't you do it anymore? Never mind.
Because I have to like.
Right, exactly. Okay, so you do
could
that,
do it.
and then you already moved. You took your action. Okay, so at this point, more of the bandits come in, and Tani, you have the image of seeing this one, and then dragged out of sight, and by presumably someone.
Well, yes.
And Brindle kind of leaps forward, and let's see actually if Brindle is going to. So Brindle is going to slam the head of this dude into the wall, and he slides down and does not stir. That may have been a little more than non-lethal right there. And that just leaves this one, who kind of takes a few steps back and kind of does turns this way and then turns that way, and then is basically going to turn around and leap off the table. Now, you can absolutely get an attack of opportunity if you want, Tani. Stone, I think, is too far away to do that because you
Yes,
have to
he is.
leap up on the table, but you could do that, Tani, if you want.
This is my other game. I'd be like, Sentinel.
Mhm,
You're not
mhm,
going
mhm,
anywhere.
mhm,
But
mhm.
that's not the case. So, yeah. Think. 16.
Yep, absolutely a hit.
Alright.
Go ahead and roll your damage.
4.
Nice.
8 points of damage.
Okay, so I like the idea. Let's get rid of that. I like the
It's
idea
basically,
that,
I wish I'd called that. Oh, man. Because
yeah,
I was going to say, as he's getting ready to leap off the table, Tawny just takes his legs out from underneath him so he's face first into the table.
yeah.
Floor.
I think even
But
as it
I didn't
is,
call.
he just sort of like slams onto the ground pretty hard and then like stumbles out, and then you hear like "Arr!" and he's like dragged out of sight also. Let's see, And that brings us to, actually, because Bolo is out of it, I think with his removal from the scene, I think that's going to bring us out of combat. And there is a sort of moment's pause while everyone is trying to get a sense of what just happened. And then, let's see, let's go up to here. There's a sort of moment's pause, and then you see sort of Brindle kind of breathing heavily, walks back into the room.
Tawny has no idea who she is.
And so she actually probably looks at you and looks at the bandits, and she's like, you're a friend of Bolo's?
And at that point, he's like, yeah.
So yeah, right. They're just sort of staring at each other as the one falls, and they're like, she kind of says, I'll be back. And she turns around and walks in and sees Inga sitting there and sees Bolo kind of
sitting,
and walks towards you and sort of walks past you, looks at you and looks at the river, and then looks at you, Bolo, since you're now conscious again. And
I'm imagining that like River has probably settled Bolo, like pulled him up against her, like she's kneeling and has like put his head on her lap a little bit and tried to like get him to wake up or be more comfortable, or is helping him sit up.
Yep, and she looks down and she says, and she kind of looks at Longo and looks at all of you, and she nods and says, I wondered whether even your ability to stay out of trouble would save you on this one, Bolo. Looks like it almost didn't. As for this snake, now she walks up to him and she's like, stink, and she takes her dagger out. Now, for a moment, there's a moment where I imagine all of you are like, what are you doing? And then she like reaches down and slices at his belt and pulls up, and she kind of takes this scabbard. And actually, I do have a picture of this. Let me show you all of it.
And Tawny's like, Stone, come on.
So, but Longo is still alive, right?
No, he's still alive.
He's alive, but unconscious.
He's unconscious. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Unless she accidentally sliced through his duodenum while
like,
she was.
Whoops! Like, I'm just gonna use this knife to balance myself on your jugular. No.
But yeah, Inga then steps past the gang and basically grabs Longo like in a, what's that called? Sleeper hold?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's already out.
Yeah,
Double
just
sleeper hold.
Oh no, I missed that. My
get away
internet
if
froze.
he wakes up, basically.
Okay.
Sorry, what did she do?
So she just cut loose this scabbard and she kind of holds it up, and she says, I don't know what this thing is, but it spells trouble to me. And she kind of tosses it onto the ground behind her. You all can look at it now and see the sort of curious workings. And I would say that everyone who looks at it feels uncomfortable just sort of looking at it.
Exactly what I imagined. This is exactly how I imagined it looking.
Yeah. And I should say, too, that when she does this, now, River, you had a general overall hatred. Inga, you had this strange experience, even when you put Longo in the chokehold, of feeling like you did it because you're like, I'm pissed off in general, but you still couldn't really find it in you to be pissed off at him completely. You're just kind of like, I can't believe the situation, until the scabbard's off. And then you're like, this like this, you're like, I'm gonna smoke a,
this was the thing that I missed. Inga put him in a chokehold? What?
Yeah, we were joking about the fact that she put him in a chokehold on top of his already sleeper, like the fact that he's unconscious. So,
Like the point is that in case he wakes up, so that she can just
Right. And so
just spooning him basically.
And meanwhile, that's great. Meanwhile, in the other room, you hear sort of like, and then one person comes to the door of the room, the one actually, Inga, that you saw that was yelling at you to get out of the cell, and says, Brindle, we took care of the other two. There's 3 already gone for in the other room. What do you want us to do with them? And she, without looking, says, tie him up and gag him. And she looks at you, all of you, for a moment, as if assessing what you would say, and be like, don't kill him. Leave him for whoever's gonna find them here.
Tawny
and the assistant's like, is about to say something, but then Brindle like looks over his shoulder like, I'm already annoyed enough, and he's like, and goes back and does it. And
What do you
Meanwhile,
mean,
how
like,
many of them
leave
did
him
we
for
kill, though?
whoever is gonna find him here? Like, we are gonna take him back to the City Watch.
okay, well, you could say that to her. She basically.
No, she is saying that.
Oh, okay. So Brindle says, she's like, well, my point is, if it had just been us, well, there wouldn't be anyone left of this gang once we were done, if you follow me. But since apparently I'm in the presence of what you might call heroes, I thought I should let you decide what you want to do. But this one, and she points at the one that you got in the sleeper hold, and she says, there's no reason to keep this one alive, is there?
Oh, we are
River's
gonna
like, wait, you asked
question
me
him.
to not kill him. She doesn't say this, but like she did ask her to not kill him, right?
Yeah,
She did.
She did say that.
She did say
She
that.
said,
She's
"Don't
like,
kill
I'm
the
not
other
questioning
three."
she said don't kill the other three. I don't think she said anything about killing this guy.
No, I thought she
Um,
was talking about Longo.
I
Maybe.
totally thought she was talking about
Either
Lana.
She was
way-
talking about the 3 guys we knocked out when we started.
Right. And
Yeah.
either way, my impression is that regardless of that, it's a real strain, you can all tell without having to make any checks at all, for Brindle to keep from basically running this guy through.
So I
so-
was like, River makes eye contact with Brindle, and it just like, this is a shared sympathy about this. Like, River basically says, I want very little more than to run him through in the messiest, most painful way possible, but there's more here than just him, and I think you've taken the fang out of the serpent's mouth, as it were, with that. There's something else going on, someone who is enabling him, we feel sure. Just to get to the point of, wait, what do we actually know about the conspiracy again? Did we figure out that the guy who we definitely knew for sure was the bad guy the whole time actually is the bad guy?
Well,
Okay.
I mean,
Just
what
go
you
up.
figure, yeah, I mean, like, one thing you knew for sure is that this is obviously, Clovis was Longo,
This
clearly.
is
I mean, like, this is definitely the Longo, like, that you were looking for. What the heck it has to do with this scabbard and the needle and all that, like, that's all still to be determined. But yeah, you don't get the impression that this is like some like Longo body double. That this seems like
No.
Longo. Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the administrator guy. The guy.
Haken, you're talking about from a.
Special one.
I don't think you've decided yet. I don't think you know. There was a lot of like swirling around possibility, but I don't think anyone ever said the real bad guy is.
But
Haken.
there was the thing with the way the thread was coming into the city.
That's very true.
There was the poison.
Yep.
That like.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of circumstantial evidence for sure.
Okay, this is what all I
yeah,
wanted
there's
like
a lot
to
of
say
evidence.
that.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying you didn't get a note like Haken did
No.
this. Is all I'm saying.
No. Okay, we have our suspicions. That's what I want to be clear on what our suspicions
Sure,
are.
for sure.
So, yeah, River says, we think he's part of something bigger. I don't think that him having that scabbard that's not the sort of thing that any hobbit just happens to come across. It's that, and we wouldn't even have been aware of him had it not been for Kilda and the theft of her needle and her murder. We think that there's more going on here, and he's worth questioning.
And so she kind of, if you don't mind my asking, miss, what kinds of questions are you planning to ask? I've had a lot of questions in my lifetime, and I don't know what kind of answers they ever lead to.
Well, either way, we should bring him before the king. And Inga starts tying him up and tells Tony to toss her one of the sacks that are laying in the corner. I'm assuming they're like sacks and all kinds of stuff.
I would say you could probably empty them easily enough, even if they're orange.
Yeah, and like put him in a sack, and then she slings him over her shoulder because he's not
Make
very
sure
big,
to
right?
gag
He's a
him.
halfling. Yeah, that too. Right.
Yeah, make sure to
Gagging
gag him. So.
Tying him up, gagging him, and then sticking him into a sack, and then also, you
And
know,
you
then
wanted
down
to
with
fill the
rocks and
sack.
throwing it in the river.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Fill the sack
exactly.
with some nails, with some like walnut shells, just kind of rattle them around. Anyway, that's me talking.
Can we say that in general this conversation has taken about 10 minutes?
Yeah, between the as they're sort of sorting out what's left.
Right.
Of
Tawny is taking that 10 minutes to work on Bolo.
Okay.
Because there was part of Tawny's healing ability that I had completely spaced until today. And that is, if instead you tend the creature for at least 10 minutes, binding their wounds, treating them with herbs and poultices, and offering soothing words, then you may multiply your, in my case, 1d8 by my proficiency modifier, which is 1d8 times 3 plus my wisdom modifier. But it's 2d8 times 3 plus 4 is what it's going to be.
This is like listening to a rogue calculate sneak attack damage.
It
All
is.
of which
It
means
is.
that you
I
are
love
just
it.
going to heal him for 80 billion damage. Is that what you're saying?
That's probably pretty close.
Love to
So this will be, take 4 out of that, so it'll be 10 times 3, 34 points of healing.
34 points of healing to Bolo. That actually puts him back to full health.
You literally rolled 2 1s to get this outcome.
Mm-hmm.
But the disadvantage is that I have to spend 10 minutes doing it.
Right. That's amazing.
Yeah,
This is so
I have no problem with any of this. He's a scholar, and it makes total sense.
No, exactly. I am in awe. Anyway, what River says in reply to Brindle is, first of all, she says, "Please call me River. Once you've fought next to someone, you don't call them Miss." and says, "What kinds of questions?" "So we know the thread he's been bringing into town has been poisoned. We want to know who his suppliers are, why he's been doing this, what role the needle has to do with anything, and where he got that scabbard from. I want to know all of that. If you have questions for him, by all means. I feel like you're as much a part of this as we are."
She nods slowly as if trying to kind of size you up a little bit and says, "Aye. There hadn't been much time for those to pay attention to those of us who live here. They're too busy with dealing with kings and queens from other places." And she kind of sighs and says, "Only question I'd want to ask him is how he got so many to follow him, and who was telling him what to do. I figured the same thing you did. This can't all be from him. He wouldn't have been able to arrange that much with the thread, with everything else. And, well, I don't know how to talk about myself as a leader, but my boys follow me as far as they can, and I've always been pretty good at convincing people. Why it is none of the new people wanted to listen to me and all went to him." And then she kind of looks at him and then glances back at the scabbard. She's like, "It's funny now, just looking at him there in a sack, tied up, gagged, roped, weighted, walnut shelled." And she goes through the whole list of like things. And she's like, "Looking at him now, I don't understand why anybody ever would have listened to him. Why was he? I don't know." And she kind of looks down at the scabbard where she threw it, and then she... Anyway.
There's dark and terrible magic in the world, Brindle, if I may. We've felt, all of us in our travels, the touch of a specific kind of weight, like a shadow that falls over you and that makes you feel like nothing will ever be bright or good again. And what he was doing, it was like that, but different. I could feel it rolling over me, this power that to just let him do or say whatever he pleased, and to convince you of anything, even though it was plain as day that he was lying to your face. It's a dark power and it's a bad one, but I don't think
I don't think anyone's born with it. I think that's something you learn to do to people. I think it's something that he was given. I think that scabbard is woven through with that kind of power. We've seen things like it out in the world, in the wild. But it's clear to me, by your actions, that you are a leader, and that people do follow you. I mean, Bolo wouldn't stop talking about how impressed he was with you, and how I was really looking forward to meeting you from things that he said.
And she kind of nods slowly and she says, you're not exactly what I expected, any of you. I thought, though, the heroes of Dale had taken away the shadow. You're saying it's not gone, then?
No, it's not. It's out in the world. And I'll say, we don't call ourselves the heroes of Dale. We don't ourselves tell the world that we've done anything more than endure the shadow and fight it whenever we can.
Well, I mean, we did meet a dragon and lived to see the tale, so.
I mean, there was that.
Meet a dragon.
That's all
That was
Sorry.
that
No, like,
entire...
Inge says that, not me. Inge says.
No, I know.
Just making clear.
So Brindle chuckles and Brindle says, with all respect, and she says, the river. Like, a little bit uncomfortable, clearly, even with speaking it, but she says, with all respect, I've found that most of the time, what you are is often the way other people think about you. If, for instance, you go back and tell King Bard and the rest of the lords and ladies over there that you've been helped by the Broken Stone Irregulars, they're just as likely to ask where they can find us. They can arrest us for crimes against the state, you understand? To them, we're a bunch of no-account thieves and cutthroats. And, well, to me... And at this point, you see that, like, her assistant has come back, and a few of her, the hooded figures, Bolo, you recognize some of them, have sort of gathered around and are at the door. And she says, well, they're a kind of family, you might say. I mean, to each other. And there's a pause, and then she looks back. What are you lot doing here? You get out of here. And if any ever say I said that, I'll stick your guts too. And they're all like... immediately depart the area and the door, and leave. And so she turns back and she says, we can't stay and be there with you when you present him to them. Just, Bolo knows where to find us. And, and she reaches into her pack that she has behind her, and she pulls forth Flank Searer. And she says, I think you earned this back. And she hands it over to you, Bolo, and she says,
Bolo's eyes go wide.
She says, if you have need of us, you know where we are. And Bolo, and she kind of points at you and she says, I want you to know you're still part of the Broken Stone Irregulars. If I need you when I call, you best be there. I mean, unless you're out fighting a dragon, but otherwise, if I call you, you best be there. Because, well, these other folks seem alright, but you're the only one who's actually been with us. Remember who we are. Alright?
I take flanks here. Thank you for your help, Brenda. We couldn't have done it without you.
And she nods and says, you got that right. And she sort of like smiles at you. And then she says,
You hand me that sack right there by your feet.
And she does.
And he will turn it inside out and use it to grab the scabbard and put it into the thing and tie it off so it's just tied up in a sack by his side.
Can you remind me before we end this, what was the name of the bandit who gave us information and who we sent off to Haven at Midway?
Yes, I can. That bandit's name was...
Canik?
Hold on a second. What is it?
No, not Canik. Not Canik. Canik is the guard.
No, I'll find it. Not Cardis. I have the name. I will find it. Okay, it wasn't Fanner. It wasn't Rave.
It was Vanner. I think it was Vanner.
No. Fanner was
No?
the leather worker. That
Caspar or Swain?
I thought it
Vig.
was
That's his
Vig.
name.
I use a V name. Okay.
Vig. Yep.
Red hair with gray streaks, and
Yep.
he has a beard. That's
Yep.
what I wrote down. I did not write down who he was.
Oh, I have
just
not
what he looked
forgotten
like.
about. I just needed to remember the name, but I have not forgotten him. I have him in my notes. Yeah. Vig.
So River says to Brindle, "Do you know someone by the name of Vig?"
And she, Vig. No, I can't say as I do.
No.
Is he one of his? She kind of looks down angrily at Longo.
He was. We met him, and he helped us. But he was the first person to tell us of Longo's, Clovis's power. He'd been under his influence and was able to say with the benefit of distance that there was something uncanny, something fell and dark about the way that he used his voice. He left town. He's headed off to make a new start elsewhere, but if you wanted to talk to him, if you wanted to understand more of what it felt like to be under his influence, I could put you in touch.
She nods and she says, well, maybe. If he's looking for a job and you vouch for him, I could even do that for him, maybe.
We'll see what it is that he wants. But thank you. And you can be sure that we've gotten to know Brokenstone a little bit while here. We won't stand for those of you who've been fighting Longo to be treated the way that those who fought with him will be.
If you can affect what makes people from other places think of people who live where I do, the way that they do, well then I'd call you heroes without you beating any dragons first. And she kind of smiles and says, in the meantime, I appreciate you taking out the biggest threat that we've had here. And, well, if you happen to just accidentally forget where you saw any of us, that wouldn't be amiss.
Said that.
And she kind of grins. And she goes over and puts a hand on your shoulder, Bolo, and she says, right, you take care. If you're ever in this area and you need someone to do a bit of redistributing the wealth, you might say, you know to where to look.
I do, Brindle. Take care as well.
And she nods and heads out, and as she does so, she walks past, looks at the sack containing Longo, and semi-accidentally trips and kicks the sack in the side.
Inge has him over his shoulder, like.
Oh.
You're not that tall. It'd be easy enough to kick it anyway.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
so accidentally then stumbles and elbows him, and you hear the slightest groan maybe from the sack, and Brindle's like, oh, that's awfully clumsy of me, that is. And then she walks out, and you hear, awfully clumsy, as she's out of the room. All right, yeah, sure.
Oh, I just want to point out, like, before having tidied him up, like, Inge would have, like, checked that he doesn't have any more knives or any sharp objects on him that he could use to cut any ties loose.
Okay, right. Yeah, he had on him a short sword. He also had a bag with a few gold in it, but not a whole lot, actually, that was directly on his person, besides the leather corselet he was wearing and obviously the scabbard and the short sword.
Does the short sword, like, look in any way spooky like the scabbard did?
No, looks like, not from what you can tell. I mean,
Okay.
you don't necessarily have like magical sensing, but it does not fill you with the same sense of dread. It looks just like a regular short sword.
Yeah, I guess that I'm just gonna stick it in my... What the fuck are those called again in English? The things that that the arrows go in?
A quiver.
Quiver.
Quiver. Thank
Quiver.
you.
Also occasionally called a quarrel, but that's mostly for bolts, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead, River.
Before... Right, so if Brindle's off into the next room and stuff, River's going to, since she's been, like, next to Bolo this whole time, she's gonna, like, gently, like, look him over, touch his shoulder, look at, like, Tawny's handiwork, and say, "You doing okay, Bolo?"
I am now. That was a close call, though.
It was.
More to this adventuring than I thought there was.
Well,
Indeed.
there is also still more, because we should make sure that nobody is hiding in any closets or anything, the likes, or whatever else they might be hiding here.
I think Brindle's folk are going to take care of that, but what I want us to do is to think about the thread, and Tawny, the next thing for us to do is to find an antidote, right?
Means I need to find the poison. Probably more than I could simply soak out of the thread.
Maybe there is some sort here.
That's exactly what I was about to do, unless any of you need further attentions.
I'm good, and Inge, like, walks past you guys with Longo on her shoulder and starts looking around in the, I guess over here, in this room, room number 5.
Okay. You can see by the time you get there, by the way, that there is that a bunch of the leftover bandits, so the unconscious ones from originally, and then these other ones are trussed up and sort of lying next to one of their training dummies. They are, you notice, Inga, they have not been laid there gently. They're just kind of in a pile. Like, you can see that they're sort of struggled off of each other enough where they're sort of lying next to each other, but they are bound, gagged, and look exceedingly unhappy. So there's that. And then in this room, of course, you also see... Actually, I should ask what the others are doing, too. I'll get back to Inga in a minute. But
making a search of the everywhere I can find to see if I can find any of that poison. But before he does that, Tawny holds up the sack with the scabbard and says, "I believe that this should go to Radagast. I don't trust it in the world of men. I think he can probably find a way to destroy it, or one of the other wizards, whoever."
I think that's a good call. River looks extremely reluctant to take it, but
he's not holding it out. He's just holding it.
He's just holding it. Okay, good. But yeah, what River is going to want to do with Stone is basically just assist Tawny in searching the place, looking for poison, but also looking for documents, anything that might give some anything that might either like diminish the number of questions that they have for Longo by virtue of having answered some, or sharpening that and stuff, just turning the place upside down, basically.
So in the process of your search, and I'm not going to require you to make an investigation check because you have basically unlimited time to be able to kind of go through this. As you're going through and finding it, there's a couple things to note. First of all, when you all go into the room where Inga is now standing, you all note that there is what clearly looks like it used to be a jail cell. There's a big like iron-gated door which is just lying on the ground a few feet away from the room itself. And
looks like that's been kicked by a very angry dwarf.
It could very well be. And as you're all looking around, you find a couple of things. The first is that you actually find in a pouch in the desk. Let me move the dice roller so we can all see it together. There we go. In a pouch in the desk on the right-hand wall, which probably was Longo's desk, you can find there are papers and things like that. They look mostly to be things like shipping manifests and things of that nature, and you see examples of collected multiple, and it has numbers like by date. So collected 10 skeins of thread, per, and then there's different letters. They might be referencing names, like there's Q you see a few times, there's T, but there are a lot of different letters. So you don't know if this is just a bunch of part of the conspiracy or if it's just wherever, the person was that happened to have the shipment. And it gives the sort of itemized number. And there's a lot of skeins of thread that are listed. If you add them all up, it's probably well over 100 or so. Good sized, again, skeins are not the little spools. Skeins are, good sized bits, spindles of them. And so you find that. You also find, so you find that papers on his desk, and that's, as I said, these manifests. You also find in a pouch on his desk, you find a few more pieces of gold. So he has 10 gold total here. But you also find the silver needle, which presumably was the thing that belonged to Kelda. And the silver needle itself does not have, I don't know if I had a picture of the silver needle, but it basically just looks, I think, like a needle. Let me double check and make sure.
You had a picture of Kelda, but not the needle.
Right, I don't think I had a picture of the needle. It's just, it's fairly, it's beautiful in its simplicity, right? But it does not have like lots of extra engravings along the side of it or that sort of thing. And so, yeah. So you do find the silver needle. And that's really it. Shipping manifest, the needle, and this gold. But you also hear about this as you're sort of reading through the manifest. You also see several references to sent to W, which might mean warehouse. You see at one point WH, like W.H. And that might W period H period, so that might mean warehouse. And there is, of course, the warehouse that you all came in from in the first place that had a bunch of these. You hear them pronounced skeins. See, I always heard them pronounced skeins, but maybe it's skeins. I don't know.
For me, it was always skein.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe I'm doing it wrong. So skein.
Schedule versus schedule. It's Jaguar versus Jaguar. Whatever.
Wyvern versus Wyvern, which continues to. So there's a bunch of those still that are left in the warehouse that you could go to as well. And those ones, of course, have some of the, presumably some of the poison that's still left on them. The last thing, though, that you find, Tawny, is you do find a pouch of strange purplish petals that seem to have been dried and then crushed and sort of placed in this pouch. And I'm assuming you don't take a big old sniff of it, but when exactly. But they do.
Oh, potato chips.
Yeah, exactly. These are delicious. And fall over. But anyway, you find that as well, and in another drawer of the desk.
The purplish color, you say, does it fairly closely match the stains we found on Kelda's tongue?
You got it.
Do you show these? Because I would like to have a look at these.
I do not have a picture of these.
No, I mean
Tawny will.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think-
Tawny.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
When they find the silver needle, River is momentarily overcome and just kind of holds it and sort of turns her face to the side and just starts weeping quietly.
Dabbing herself. I poked myself with it. I'm sorry. That's why I'm crying. I accidentally stuck myself.
Yeah, Inga puts her spare hand on her back, and this is he'll get what he deserves.
We should sew his mouth shut with it, is what she says.
I didn't hear you. What?
Oh, we should sew his mouth shut with it.
After he can.
Well, we can suggest that as a punishment by the when we get back to the king. But
Yes, Tawny does show the petals.
okay.
Research.
Do I recognize these?
Go ahead, Bolo.
Oh, yeah. I'm going along the same lines. There was a point in our investigations where we were starting to look at plants, and I don't remember what got us on that track. It might have been the poison that Tawny had sort of tested or something like that.
The plant we found when we were let out of the city by
The
the
red
diversion in
berries.
the very beginning.
Oh, maybe it was.
Really, is this the same as the red berries?
No,
No.
that's what got us on the
Oh.
whole thing about identifying plants, because that was a thing that we found this weird plant that did not belong in this area.
And then Bolo went to see the chemist lady with Brindle,
Yeah.
who gave
That
information.
Was Kala,
Kala. There we go.
old
Into
witch
the
lady.
walls like a rat.
I was just wondering if these, if if we had come across these petals, if we know what they belong to, same thing that Inga was, I think, heading down.
No, but you do remember, well, there's two things. One, it does, I assume Tani shares that, the matching of the purple leaves to the purplish stain of Kelda's tongue. The other thing is that you do remember from your encounter with when you went to the alchemist, the sort of the potion lady Bolo, that was kind of there's a lot of tension there, you may remember, between Brindle and this person. And she had talked about the fact that there had been rumors about poison coming from outside of the city, and that there was some strange plant that was being used for it. You don't remember a description directly connecting to this one way or the other, but these are not common plants. And I think you may remember, I think we said that this came from the north, I believe is what I said, and that it's not native to the region around Dale.
Okay.
So this may fit that description, but it does not seem to match up with like the berries per se. But again, plants from other regions suggest travel, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
So, but does Inga recognize these petals?
I would say that you're using your are you just sort of checking to see, Inga?
Because I'm first of all well traveled, and second of all basically a ranger.
Right.
And we just went way up to the north,
right,
into the heath and everywhere else.
So I would say that you have heard of these plants before. Actually, you know what? Make a history check for me, please.
A history check. Aw, I don't get any bonuses on that. Oh, 18. I don't need any bonuses.
Who needs bonuses? Okay, so why am I not seeing? Oh, there it is. For some reason, my.
It'd be nice if I could get these good rolls like during combat, so that I can do shit during combat. But no.
Okay, hold on a second. Here we go. Now it's all caught up. So, as you look at this, Inga, you realize that you do not remember having seen these flowers recently. But you do remember when you were young, but a dwarf lass, and traveling with your family from place to place, that there were several times when you were traveling in the north in particular, where you did see plants like this. But it has been a while, and the reason that it's significant to you that it's been a while is that there are very few plants that could survive the devastation, the desolation of smog, etc. And these plants, to you, may not even exist in the north anymore. In other words, these are not just not native to this region, they're also not native to this time. These flowers
just
are
for,
older.
For reference, when you talk about the north, what regions do you, like what area do you specifically mean?
So we're
Where do I
talking
have
about like
some- No, wrong world. Not
wrong world. Yeah, what do I say?
Exactly, the spine of the world. No. So let's jump over to.
Wait, that is like first age and second age maps.
Let's head up to the
can't open
Wilderland
that.
Adventures here. So when I'm talking about north, we're looking at the Northern Dale lands, the northern side of the Northern Dale lands, and the Withered Heath, and the Waste probably too. Like so, anything north of like, let's say anything north of this line right there that I just drew. Probably to the north of that is where you would imagine it. But again, you haven't seen it since you were very young, and you think this plant may not even exist normally anymore. So yeah, it's not so much that I know you were joking, but it's not so much the time travel. It's about herbs that have been long preserved.
Okay, then Inga looks at these, rubs her chin, and is like, I haven't seen these in decades, and I'm not sure these still grow anywhere, but I mean, we should probably go consult Kala on this, but if she doesn't know anything, then we can probably get some information from, and it pains me to say that, but from the elves of the Mirkwood, I'm gonna assume. Because they would have been around long enough to know.
But who do we... So River is things back to the last time she saw long preserved herbs and stuff, which was when they were in Dale. Not in Dale. When they were having the audience with King Dine, the second and stuff, right? Because they got
That was in
down
Erebor.
south.
in Erebor, yes. So they had like the special, the king's foil that was like super old or something like that, right?
Yes.
Grows everywhere.
It's just, it's a
but this-
weed. Yeah.
But this was, if I remember correctly, a much older and much more hardy king's foil that was from way back.
Right.
Exactly. So she's just thinking along lines of. So she says, "It seems then, if this is rare and this is old, we should be thinking about who has access to ancient herbs. We were with King Dine's advisor or something, whoever it was, who gave us the herbs from that helped your mother, Inga. You remember? That seems like the kind of collection that you need to have something that no longer exists in the wild. But I can't think why King Dine would have anything to do with this, but is there such a collection in Dale? Is there anyone here who might have access to this kind of herb lore?
Well, I mean, Kala probably.
But
Wait,
Bolo
was
went to
River
Kala.
like who went to Kala? Like Inga went and
No, did Inga go? I thought it was just
I don't know.
Callie was
Brindle.
just that was just Bolo. Bolo
was
went
just
with
Bolo.
Brindle.
oh, that was just Bolo. Okay, never mind. I didn't say
And-
anything.
Although Bolo did tell you all about it, but
Exactly,
okay.
yeah. And so River's like, but from what Bolo said, she didn't have anything like what was being provided or what was being used. So, and also, I mean, Kala sounds like, someone who needs to go and gather her own herbs. I can't imagine her having an ancient collection.
Hmm.
Of course, we could just shake the sack a little bit and wake Longo up and ask him, but
Yeah, like he's gonna tell us.
he might.
Oh yeah, because he's been so truthful since we met him. So I don't think this guy would even budge under torture.
I'm not
And
saying
either way,
torture.
even if he would tell us, like, how would we know that he's telling the truth? Like, even if he would tell us the truth, like, either way, we should get a second opinion.
Well, it's just that we have him dead to rights right now. I'd like to know who he was working for. And if he can rat them out, then there might be incentive to him for that.
Well, I mean, we can wake him up now.
It's like River's stomach clenches and she's like, don't actually want to do that right now. But
We should finish searching the place first.
yeah. Tawny, is this going to be enough for you to work with?
Probably.
I think our priority needs to be the queen.
Wait. Oh god, sorry.
Are you allergic to queens?
Queen. There's no time. Sorry.
So if Inga saw these when she was a kid, that means her parents also saw it, and her
Sure.
parents might actually be able to identify this.
Could be.
So Inga says,
I'm just
well,
trying to think of
considering
an
that-
in-character way to suspect Haken or Haken or whatever his name is, because it just seems like, I don't know, but I don't think it's River's place to notice that, because she hasn't actually spoken to him or met with him or anything. She just knows that there is some kind of conspiracy that is aimed at the queen and distracting King Bard from his duties and stuff. So, but I think that before we go to Bard with this, we should probably see if we can have an antidote to hand to bring to the queen.
I could probably send okay, so here's what I suggest. First of all, we're gonna searching this place, and then we go deliver our little friend here, and she gently punches the bag she has on her shoulder.
She
to-
spins around. Oh, one other thing. Wham! Right into the wall. One other thing I forgot to mention. Never mind.
So we're balancing this bag.
And then we should go meet with this Kala woman to see if she knows anything about this.
I just.
Feel like I missed half of that now because I was distracted.
Oh,
Okay, step 1, finish searching the place. Step 2, delivering Longo to the City Watch, or ideally directly to the king. And also maybe send one person off to go speak with Kala to ID these Serbs. Some of them. We don't have to give her the entire bag full. How much is in there? How
We
big is
don't have
that
to
bag?
give her any of them.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent size. It's
So
not
we
a
could
sack,
just
but
take a few petals out, and that should be enough for her to ID it, right?
Probably.
But my question is what do we need to learn about it from Kala? I guess I find myself.
Origin?
Sorry.
Maybe it's origins.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Where would somebody get this? Because that would maybe lead us to who Longo was working with or working
And or a possible supplier, right?
Did Kala not say that he was working with someone who wasn't her? That there was some other alchemist or something?
Well,
that
I mean,
he-
she sort of disavowed her own involvement with it, and so I think her assumption was that yes, that somebody else must have been involved then.
Right. Yeah. So River is basically I don't feel comfortable turning Longo over until we know more about who employed him. Because there could be, as soon as our eyes are off him, either he could potentially charm someone, or whoever he was working for could intercede in some way, and he could be in the wind before facing any kind of justice for his actions.
So we're going to carry him around in a sack with us everywhere we go.
That's not gonna cause anybody to look at us. I mean, we already stick out very hard, especially this guy. And she points at Tony, who probably sticks out wherever he goes. But
Not so much in the Bjorn lands.
yeah.
Tony, what do you need to make an antidote? Is it worth going to see Kala to use her equipment, or is it?
That is a possibility, but she may very well demand a price.
No, we have all this gold. All this
How
gold
much gold
because
was it anyway?
10 gold pieces is an
And-
unheard of bounty.
it's a lot of gold for actually. It's not overwhelming, but it's a fair bit. Yeah.
And that's not 10 silver pennies, right? That's 10 gold.
No,
It's
it's
10
10
gold.
gold. Yeah.
Okay.
It was, that's 10 gold that we found plus another gold pouch that he had on him. So I think we've
Which
got
is like a couple, so you really have about 12 gold, really.
Yeah.
What if what she demands for her price is some of these petals? I'm
Then-
not
Then
willing
we
to pay
just
that
tell her
price.
to
No.
Right. So what's our second option?
we write to my parents, who might be able to identify it.
Carrying this ass in a sack?
Montage cut to him banging along on
Little
Lamont,
No.
in the sack.
Write, not ride. We write a letter and send it to my parents. But maybe there is you probably met any of the people who work at the work for the king directly. He must have had some doctors or anything. Maybe they know anything.
They
Mhm.
do, there
Or
are a
a
few
scholar or
healers.
something.
There are several healers at the castle that I could probably talk to.
Yeah.
And they almost certainly have an alchemist there who would either work with me or allow me to use their facilities
Yeah.
to try to discover an antidote from this.
Out of character, Tony is a thane for this king, right? Not for the
Yes.
king. Okay.
Yeah, for Bard, yeah.
For Bart, yeah, okay. So, yeah, definitely. How do you not have your own lab at his place anyway? Already.
I haven't needed one.
Mm.
Tony, what do you want to see us do here? I just keep thinking of the queen and her being ill and thinking that that should be our ticking clock. But I suppose we could turn the sack over to those we trust among the guards, but they are subject to higher authority as well. I just think that if there is some kind of conspiracy at work, we can't trust anyone until we know.
So I obviously cannot help you guys with like making any antidotes or anything like that. So how about you just leave the worrying about Longo to me, and I just stick with him no matter what the king says? Is that an option? Like, I'm just gonna stand guard personally at his cell?
If only there was still a door on the cell that you were...
Well, I will make sure that the door then falls inward onto his head so that, you know.
Whoops.
Yeah. Sorry, Tanya was saying something?
Well, there are a couple of options. We may not necessarily be able to trust everyone in authority or the entirety of the chain of authority here, but the Haven is more or less under our control. He could theoretically be held there.
Do you think they have by now already built like a holding cell or anything like this? Like anything that could keep a guy as unpredictable as this one under lock and chains?
Possible.
Wait, lock and chains? They might still have like their old collars and everything. So we could just chain them up.
There we have a stronger sense of control over who gets to see him and when and why. It also gets him out of this city where any influential parties of ne'er-do-wells might have access to him. This would give us time for you, River, to send a messenger to Radagast to come and take ownership of this and find a way to destroy it. Meanwhile, I can work on building an antidote for the queen. And we destroy the thread before it gets sold at this upcoming festival.
Yeah.
So what do we do with Longo in the meantime before we can leave for the Haven?
Why can't you leave now?
Yeah.
Are we gonna split up?
No, I don't think we need to. I think we can...
You could send a messenger and tell Radagast to meet you at Haven.
That's true. I don't know what the distances are anymore out of character. So, like, how long would it take to get a message to Radagast?
Well, it just depends on how it's delivered. If you're...
I could swear we had, like, a thing that would send a moth or something to him.
I don't remember, though, whether that carried over into... You did use that at one point. I don't think it carried over into this. What I am going to say is that there are a couple little wrap-up things for this part of it, but then you're going to be moving into a fellowship phase, and a fellowship phase will give you an opportunity to do many things, including having someone go, because the next component, the next part after the fellowship phase takes place next year in game terms. So basically you'll have about 6 to 7 months between the end of this and that. So you could send someone in the meantime, if you wish. So the answer to your question is, I would say if you were just doing it like by foot, it would probably take about a month's travel to get someone there and back. But once you get somebody there, presumably he could send something back much faster. So
wait, wouldn't it be the fastest to send somebody, like send a messenger to Dale and have them send a crow? Not crow, a raven?
Or raven, sure. That would be much faster, yep.
Yeah, so do that instead.
That's fair.
Like Inge's clan probably has like their own ravens. Like at this point.
That makes a lot of sense. I think that should definitely be our play to talk to Radagast.
Then we should send Tony right now to the palace to take care of the queen, while we clear up here, and then we meet up again at the stables.
My question is like the next, like we're moving into a fellowship phase, but I mean, are we going to wrap up with the political situation here or anything like that before that, or are we
there are a couple like little there are a couple of periods I'm going to put at the end of sentences regarding this particular thing, but then the larger political question that can be done partly during the fellowship phase. So you can use that as a part of it. And it will also depend on what you choose to do. Brad, I know you haven't done fellowship phases with us before. That'll be next session. We'll spend probably the first half of it at least on the fellowship phase before we move into the next formal component of the adventure. But there are a lot of things you can do during a fellowship phase, including gaining a patron, including opening up a sanctuary, including different things like that, and also ones that you can pitch me on. Like, I would like to. I think one of you did the Haven building. I think was fellowship phase one time, before this one, and
I think that was
stuff
River.
like that. So yeah, just so you know, that's what it is. But we'll talk about the mechanical details of it next session. But so yeah, that's what I would say, Amal, is that there are some. There's a little bit of ending to Longo's part of the story, at least in regards to this. But then you can do more politically in terms of engaging with Bard or whatever else.
I just mean, like, I want to know why he wanted the silver needle.
Right. Well, that's that. Oh no, I'll deal with that during the period of during that stuff.
Who has the silver needle, by the way?
River.
Look around and realize to your horror it's gone. No.
Yeah,
who
I think
has it?
River's gonna hold on to it unless, anyone else wants. She wants to also get someone magical to look at it and stuff. So
Well, I mean, we might be in luck, and maybe a certain Grey Wanderer happens to be staying at the palace right now. Who knows?
But yeah, okay. So essentially what we want to do here is we want Tawny to go to the palace to tend to the queen. We want to take Longo to Haven to imprison him. River's a little uncertain. She's like, I feel like Ash is not extremely keen on imprisoning people or putting them in chains.
It's an option, not a requirement.
Well, we could bring him back to my clan. Like, the nice thing about getting my clan house was to that so much space, which also includes holding cells probably somewhere. I haven't been able to check out all the rooms yet. It's a lot, but
That's
I'm
true.
sure we can do something about it.
All right.
And that's also closer to here than Haven. How long does the ride take from here to Erebor? Like, it can't be far, right?
Right. It would probably take a couple of hours.
Yeah.
To ride there.
Okay.
So I would say, send off Tony to the palace now. We finish searching here, and then we meet at the stables and make our way to the Erebor.
All right. I'm very happy for you to just carry Longo around in a sack. You're the strongest one in the party.
So are
Well,
you
he's
going
also
to give?
tiny. He probably doesn't weigh much.
Are you going to give the opportunity for Bard and/or officials to basically interrogate Longo before you do whatever you want to do with him? Because it does occur to you that the city's probably going to want to know what, there is a murder to be answered for, and probably more than one.
Well, it's probably the safest to make sure he gets away, but because the king already knows that there are traitors among his following, so he would probably understand that we would want to specifically keep Longo out of there.
You know what? Actually,
and remove him from that so that he can't be, accidentally be killed.
It occurs to me, I think
Accidentally
we're
commit
overcomplicating
suicide,
this.
as they say.
Could we not just get the city guard guy who we trust to come to the inn where we are staying and interrogate him there?
Presumably.
Oh yeah, that would work.
Let's just do that.
Or, since I'm going to be working with healing the queen anyway, I have direct access to the king and could very easily say, right, you I trust.
Right.
We've got this guy, and we're just worried that there may be a loose link somewhere in the chain, blah, 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 blah.
Exactly. It's true.
Was that Tanner or was that a different guy?
I believe it was Tanner.
So,
Because we have met a few guardsmen, and I know
It was
that Inga
Tanner, yeah.
specifically was acquainted with
Oh,
one specific
I'm sorry.
guardsman.
Cardis is the captain of the Gardendale.
Cardis.
Cardis is Tanner you might trust too, but Cardis is the guy that you were dealing a lot with earlier on, Tawny, for what that's worth.
So I think if we get Cardis, so the reason I wanted him to come, first of all, I think it's closer than the palace. It's on our way to go back to where we were staying. You can get more of your supplies if you had any in there, but also it just, as soon as there is a palace's worth of potential avenue, there were people working for Longo there, essentially. People working for him and presumably people he was working for. So, but yeah, I think it definitely Cardis interrogating, liaise with the city guard through the person we trust, etc.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I want to leap us forward a bit to a couple of montage bits relating to what all of you just said.
What?
Yeah, no, exactly. No. A few months, no, montage bits. The first is that the interrogation, Cardis, who is... Oh, actually, let me begin with the Queen. The stuff that you were able to distill / create out of this, there is an antidote. There are a couple things to note, though, Tani. The antidote is a very strong... The original poison was very potent, and the antidote that you make is equally so for this particular thing. But one of the things you notice is that a little bit goes a long way, so that a bag of the size of these herbs probably could have been used to poison, a lot of liquid, and that eventually could have had poisoned a lot of thread and whatever else.
Mm-hmm.
You are able to stabilize the Queen so that the Queen is not going to slip further into death, but there seems to be something else which weighs upon her and is making it hard for her to come out of it. But Bard, nonetheless, is relieved that she doesn't seem to be falling further into, death and dying. And, for a taciturn and normally kind of reserved man, he is, doesn't quite embrace you, but sort of is, extremely pleased that you have managed to at least keep his wife from dying. And do you tell him that you're going to have Cardis interrogate Longo, by the way, while you're doing this? That's the plan? Or, what do you...
If he and I are alone.
Yeah,
say,
there is a
for the
moment where you
Queen,
would
yes.
be. Okay.
Yes. Then...
So, and he agrees with that, but he says that he wants to be there too. Just him.
I think that could be, you're the king.
Bard kind of nods and says, the impression that you get from Bard is yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
So when Bard and Cardis, and I'm aware that we have to wrap, Brad, when Bard and Cardis begin their interrogation, Longo, who looks completely different in terms of attitude, he just kind of is he tries to play the defiant role for about 2 minutes, and then under the withering glare of both Bard and Cardis and all of you, by the way,
yeah,
and Stone growling to the side.
Inge punches him and stuff.
She's they're
livid.
Yeah. They are. Yeah, he breaks almost immediately and confesses to everything. In fact, not only does he confess to everything, he also goes all the way back and he tells the story of first having encountered this scabbard. Apparently, Longo, he says, had been a hobbit that had wanted gems and gold and had wanted these sorts of things from a young age, and maybe fell in with the wrong crowd. And the way he tells the story, he was going to steal from his own father's hobbit hole, along with a couple of ne'er-do-wells that were with him, but he thought better of it, and the ne'er-do-well stabbed him for his kind of, trouble, and so he staggered into the wild, and ended up finding a place where he says, "A voice, a shadow overcame me. It told me to find him." And the next morning, he only remembers that the next morning he stumbled out of this mound in the earth holding on to this scabbard. And he found that when he had this scabbard, he felt much more confident, he could convince people to do what he wanted, and it was great. And then he started wanting to do that all the time. And it became his joy to manipulate other people into doing what he wanted. But he doesn't know where the scabbard came from other than that. He also says that the silver needle was coming from the Great Shadow. And when he gets pressed on this, he says, the Great Shadow wanted it. It wants pieces of magic, and I don't know the details, but that's what they told me. And eventually he just becomes a blubbering mess on the floor, where it's clear that he doesn't really know why this thing was being requested. But someone outside of the city who had been supplying him, apparently, these herbs, had wanted this needle. So he confesses all of this, begs for mercy. Bard is gives him the stare down. And the sentence for Longo is Bard. Now, what Bard wants to do is he wants him imprisoned in his deepest dungeon forever, with no possibility of anything ever, bread and water, and that's it. That's what he wants to do. Now, Bard can be persuaded out of that if you want to move him to somewhere else.
Yes.
But Bard's really, really angry. Not at you, obviously, at him. And so Bard basically says, basically tells you that if you want to do that, if he ever escapes, like, Bard will hold you responsible. And you get the impression that Bard is not saying this to be a jerk. Bard is just like, he's like, this guy cannot ever, be anything ever. So he basically asks you to make that promise. But one little postscript to all of this that's important is that when you were given all of this information, that a messenger comes right after, when you are basically after this has happened. It takes about a week to 2 weeks to set most of this up. And at the end of the second week, a messenger comes. He is tall and fair, with fair hair, and slightly pointed ears, and you can see that you are clearly looking at an elf. And the elf comes and is brought to all of you. And he introduces himself as an envoy of the Elven King. And he asks you for possession of the needle. And the reason is that the needle, they have reason to suspect, once belonged to Celebrian, who was the daughter of Celeborn and Galadriel, and the wife to Elrond. And Celebrian used it almost 3,000 years ago to embroider the woven cloth that she gave to Elrond on their wedding day, which to this day is hung above the high table of the great hall of Rivendell that you can see there. And the reason that the messenger says the Elven King is sent for the needle to be returned is that the elves would like to have the silver needle back. Arwen Evenstar, daughter of Elrond, desires to have an heirloom of her mother and would like this back as a reminder of her.
River will listen to this and get her eyes will well up, and she'll take the pouch with the needle out and lift it up and look at it, and then give it to the messenger and say, when you give it to the Lady Evenstar, if you could tell her the name of Kelda of Dale, and that she too wove marvels into this world, and just let her name be remembered along with that of her mother, because she was of small folk, but her skill was great.
And he bows and puts a hand on his heart and says, may that memory last as long as those things wrought by this needle. Thank you. And takes the needle from you. Last point. I think as the camera pulls back from the very end of this adventure, we see a messenger, we see a man in a brown pointed hat and brown cloak riding along. And with him is the scabbard that is still held safely in its sack. Because what Radagast knows about this scabbard and has told all of you is that destroying the artifact by physical blows will not be enough to end the curse of what it ultimately is. The only best way to do it is to melt down the item in a fire that is hotter than most mortals can create. But not all of them, because there is a smelter in the Iron Hills that might serve that purpose. And it is with that visual of Radagast riding with the sack to destroy this item that we...
to the Iron Hills?
Yeah.
Yay!
That it is with that note that we are going to leave this behind, and in our next session, Fellowship Phase, leading to the next adventure, which, by the way, will be called Of Hammers and Anvils. So you may hear more from the Iron Hills and the Dwarves in this one.
Yay!
Good work, everybody. Good stuff. It only took us 14 sessions to get through the first, but it was fine. Like, we had so much going on, and there was so much setup happening for like what was going on down the line that it was.
I can't believe there was no conspiracy with Hagen. I'm going to choose to believe that regardless. I think there was nothing.
We don't know yet. Hagen is
Also,
not. We don't know yet. Again, Fellowship Phase. There's not.
like, Inga absolutely tries to convince the king to give Longo to her clan, because she thinks that it will be safer for him to be locked up outside of...
The king, yeah, Bard will agree to it. It's just Bard makes very clear that, like, if he gets away, like, he can't get away, like, basically.
Yeah, no, Inga takes that because she's an idiot and makes promises like that.
I am going to start, as per usual, on the bottom of the column, and I will start with someone who I hope felt, somewhat vindicated in being able to beat the living hell out of this small little piece of garbage here that we call Longo. It was good stuff today from the river, both the Song of Slaying and then sort of figuring out what to do afterwards. And I also liked, by the way, the little connection between you and Brindle, that between the river and Brindle that was established. And I thought that was a nice moment, and I think sort of fit that.
Go, Lorelai,
I'm
go.
so distracted.
Lorelai!
Lorelai! Oh my god, I'm sorry. That's such a good setup. Oh, I love it.
Right?
Oh,
I'm waiting for the leap towards the camera, and then we never hear from Terry again. Like,
I
that's
want to.
just-
Do it. I'm sorry. Conversation called on account of Lorelai. Do the leap.
do the
Roll a
leap,
natural 20 on this leap.
do the leap.
She's gonna do it. Come
We're
on.
We're gonna be here another 15 minutes. If
I was
going
going to say, which probably
Yeah,
none
sorry.
of us have time for.
Yeah. No. Wow. I feel a great peace has descended on my heart. Now that this horrible, terrible gaslighting monster is prevented from doing further harm. I'm gonna keep watching Lorelai while Arv talks to little Arv. But yes. So yeah. I was. It still felt really touch and go. Like the effect of his scabbard thing was so devastating. Like really, really frightening and really upsetting. And the fact that he could just keep, like, there didn't seem to be any limit to the number of times that he could do it or what he could do and stuff. So I really felt still like on the edge of my heart seat, throughout that. But I really love Brindle. I like River continuing to be, now with Bolo, the members of the party who don't have titles and who aren't acquainted with like the grand and the aristocratic of this world and stuff. So I like to think that River is kind of like, no, yeah, wait, this is a bad situation. Fix your social contract, Dale, or whatever. We slay dragons, but capitalism is the real dragon.
The means of production should wither away. Why is there? Why don't you wither faster?
So anyway, I also really liked that connection, and but yeah, I just I still, I don't know, I had a different sense of the pace of this. I felt sure that we had like at least one more session or something before a fellowship phase. So I think that part of our shenanigans towards the end of like, what are we doing, was kind of bearing that in mind.
Yep.
But either way, I feel mostly relief at the thought of this horrible, tentacular, bad, extremely awful person being cut off from his power and just taken off the board, basically. So yeah, in terms of where people can see me next, I am going to be doing an event with Annalie Newitz tomorrow night with the New York Public Library.
Cool.
So Annalie Newitz, super brilliant science fiction writer, but also nonfiction author, who has had a book just come out called 4 Lost Cities, which might be of interest to people who are interested in like the urbanities of Middle Earth, just because they look at 4 ancient cities, Çatalhöyük, which is like 6,000 years old, and in Turkey, Pompeii, what is it called? The one in Mongolia that I can't remember now the name of, and Cahokia in the Mississippi area.
Okay.
And it's a book about like the history of urbanity and of like divisions between rural and urban and stuff like that. It seems super, super interesting. Super excited to chat with Annalie about it. So it is at 8 p.m. tomorrow night, and all you need to do is register at the New York Public Library's website. It's a free event, and I think if you will turn up, it would be really cool. Besides that, you can find me in the usual places. amal.substack.com for newsletter purposes, at Tithanai on Twitter, and my website's amalmahthad.com. So yeah, that's me.
Very cool. Thanks, Mel. Always a pleasure. And we will have, of course, Mel back here twice next month as we continue on to Fellowship and the Land Beyond. Moving right along, Terry, again, Inga had some the scene of the breaking the thing and then kicking the door out of the back, and then just the last few are like, I really love this image of like all of the women yelling at each other at some point, like basically just like Brindle, being river, like either yelling or singing at each other was really cracking me up. Just because I could feel viscerally the dislike for this guy, which is good. That's exactly what you're supposed to feel. He's not a good guy. And I will say, by the way, although tentacles have been cut, that does not mean all tentacles are removed beyond the city, but definitely his power is ended. But yes, I really enjoyed watching that sort of quality of it, and just sort of a kind of righteousness about, this guy, because you were, the river was obviously incredibly pissed at this guy. You were also pissed because you're like, how dare you tell, like, you put me in a set, like, what, you son of a... So I was really enjoying your barely maintained control, I guess, over what Inga was going to do. How'd you feel about today? Where will the lovely folks find you next? I have to go deal with something with my daughter and her homeschool thing, so just go ahead and talk and I'll be right back.
Well, fun, of course. I'm glad I finally got out of that cell because, getting to do stuff is fun. Oh God, what's that to talk about? Just like kind of expecting, like looking at like regular tropes because like we know now that Longo isn't like evil deep in his heart, but like he was like tempted by the shadow. So now I'm kind of like, oh, is he gonna get his redemption arc once he moves in with
my internet cut out while he was talking about where he found the scabbard, so as far as I'm concerned, he's just a jerk. I don't know what his like secret sob story is. He got some evil dagger and went to town, but sorry.
Sorry about that, everyone. So sorry, Terry, did you finish or did I capture?
No, that is I'm done. No, wait, I need to tell where people can find me. Like over here usually on Tuesdays. And otherwise you can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Taritus.
Very good stuff as always.
I post art and things.
Yes.
And
very good.
Occasionally some hot takes.
And occasionally hot takes. Thank you, Amel. I really appreciate that. As I say, combination of gratitude and slight guilt over feeling like you're like because
I don't know if I can maintain this for like the whole year, but at least for this one, it was just like one more sticking it to the jerk.
Any support in that regard is appreciated. Thank you. And actually, I wanted to say, because I saw Garlic Tofu here, just very quickly, of course, is from Athos Arts, that we just got a really nice retweet from literally just now about someone who was reading Icarus and was talking about it and like posted the pictures everywhere. And I'm like, thank you for doing that. So Garlic Tofu from Athos. Athos is amazing and awesome. So. But anyway, thank you, Terry. As always, you'll see more of Terry also in 2 weeks, back here for Gamebook Illustration, and then of course for AIME. And like I said, almost famous, but we'll just don't forget us. Don't forget us, Terry.
Infamous, maybe.
Infamous. Moving on to Brad, of course, always a pleasure, Brad, as well. Bolo, I thought, had some really interesting moments here. First of all, the connection with Brindle that you built over time. We got a chance to see some of that playing out towards the end there. The return of Flankseer, of course, most dramatically. But also, because I know Bolo had frustrated, especially the river, because just being like, God, why don't you do? But this was something where the dice, as we always say, fitting the narrative, where you made the wisdom check, critted the wisdom check, and you were like, and you tripped the guy and took him down, and then you went, then you were stabbed by him and everything. So it was an eventful session, I would say, for Bolo. How did you feel about today? Where will the lovely folks find you next?
Yeah, even though Bolo wasn't a action forward kind of character, or definitely not in this adventure anyway, he played some key roles, so that was good. And I especially liked the point where Brenda was like, "Are you a friend of Bolo?"
Yeah, because he doesn't know any of these people.
Kind of like connect with the other characters. That was funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, and it definitely feels good to have my friend back.
There it is.
Oh my God.
We've been parted for so long.
Yep.
I think this too, like, and I really want like a moment forever to acknowledge this in game and stuff, is that like all of the stuff with Brindle was totally Bolo's doing. Like, like Brindle turning up at that moment and stuff could not have happened without him. And or the stuff with Cal, like he was absolutely indispensable during this whole adventure and stuff. And I was really like relieved to see the culmination of that with the entrances and stuff.
Yeah, I found it really cool how all of our different paths and backgrounds are sort of weaving together now, and I'm excited to go on to Iron Hills and see more of Inga's, past and connections and that sort of thing. So that'll be even more fun. And one last thing, one of my favorite things in stories in general is when a small mystery or a medium-sized mystery leads to a larger mystery, and here we are, we're going on to something else. So it's neat to chain them together like that. So great adventure overall. Looking forward to 2 weeks when we start again. I'll be back here, and otherwise you can catch me at quillings.com, which has my other social network connections. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook mostly. So yeah.
And you should check out Brad's work. I don't say it enough, but like I've always had a lot of admiration for Brad's ability as a writer, and particularly the epic fantasy that he does is always like meticulous. For those of us, it's meticulous world building to a degree where we're like, geez, man, give it a rest. Now, by which I mean, it's always like he puts the rest of us sometimes to shame because of the amount of work. So Brad, really is a good writer, and you should check out his work and support it. But thanks, Brad. And last but certainly not least, Tren, that moment actually that Brad referenced really cracked me up too, because it was right after that situation because it's true, like she doesn't know you, and you like so, but she knew of you. So when you both looked at each other and like everyone is just falling, you're all like. you like sort of you're not a bad okay that was cracking me up, and you had several moments I think like that where you got up and were basically like you had actually a couple of big significant combat roles in here too that had some play beyond your Tani's normal work with obviously being an incredible healer and the lore and all that kind of thing. How did you feel about today? Where would the lovely folks find you next?
I agree with all that. Just to cover where people can see me next, my latest audiobook narration is out. I just put the link in the chat there. As for seeing me next, it'll probably be here either for D&D or AME. I don't know which, we'll see. The thing, I think, Brad, I think you were the one that mentioned it, that now that Bolo has dropped unconscious, that he's been taken out, at least somewhat.
Longo, you mean?
That Bolo
himself went
that
through
Bolo now has a much stronger idea of what it is to be an adventurer.
Yeah.
And to go from where we started, where we're like at camp, he's on guard duty and he wanders off, leaving the rest of us, and how angry Tawny was at that whole thing, that this really just hammers home this sense of character growth of him going, okay, now I get it. Now I understand why you guys would have been okay. Yeah, all right, we got to support each other or shit like this will happen. Kind of thing. I love it.
I'm just imagining us like writing to Robar at some point and just being like, like that hobbit you handed a note to. Yeah, do you know him? And Robar is back like, no, I'm just some dude.
Who?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
I
That's
can
where
see
you
that.
turn around and he doesn't know who, and the knife comes down on the back of your neck.
He was the secret rip, the Nazgul all along.
Revenge of Robar.
Yeah.
I will also echo what everybody else said. Really looking forward to going to the Iron Hills and seeing, potentially more of Inga's backstory. And if we leave, that means that means we get to see more of Lillimon as well.
That's true. Lillimon has been off screen too much. We need to have Lillimon much more in the action. In combat, we just need much more of Lillimon.
He'll have a bridle that has razors on the sides
absolutely.
of it.
No, I'm not about it. Hardened.
Lillimon could have a unicorn horn. You could give like a metal unicorn horn.
Yeah, perfect.
To Ab.
Yeah, exactly.
So good.
I just want to say for people who are not aware of Inge's backstory because they weren't around for those sessions or joined later. So the family of her dead husband lives at the Iron Hills, so that's gonna be fun. Quote unquote.
Yes, and it may not. And by the way, it's not going to happen instantaneously within this, but but it will at some point.
And I think you're
And
gonna
also,
like the
she lived
fellowship
there
phase.
for a
Yeah.
few years, so
That's
that's
right.
also a thing.
And I think you're gonna like the fellowship phase, Brad. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, the fellowship phase is yeah,
Yes.
it definitely is. It's one of the unique aspects of AIME that I really like. So,
Yeah, okay.
but the other unique aspect I love is these 4 players right below me. And chat, I'd like you to give them some love as well. They are really, really awesome, and I'm gonna let
And
them
we're all
go.
level 8 now.
And yet, no, you're still level 7, but after this next component, not fellowship, but after the next component, there could be a level up in your future. I foresee that there could be a level up in your future. But I'm going to let them go. Chat, can we get some love for the amazing players of Trending Sparks, of Brad Bollier, of Terry Tunes, and of Amal Elmatar? Thank you so much to all of you
for our
wonderful people.
fave GM
Oh,
ever
thank you.
was the best. He's so great.
Aw, thank you. My
Awesome.
pleasure as always. Thanks, everybody. I will see you all soon.
Bye.
Okay. That is going to do it for us for today, but it is not going to do it overall for me, because I have got more D&D on the docket. What could be better? Because the time has come for us to move forward to deal with... Where is my camera? There is my camera. There we go. The time has come for me to deal with, and I realize I got to like turn on some lights and get some stuff going, because otherwise I look all washed out and pale, and I'm not that pale, he said. But anyway, I got to rise up on out of here and get going for GOG. So before I do that, Storm King's Thunder coming up at 4 p.m. Before I do that, just very quickly, I do want everyone to take a look at that link that I posted in chat. This is that next game link, because we are ending that today. In fact, we're ending it in about 30 seconds. So now is your chance to get in your vote as to what game I'm going to play for this month. That's going to be happening next week. It's a choice between Frostpunk, which is kind of a post-apocalyptic strategy game, essentially. Heaven's Vault, which is the newest of the Inkles games. They're the ones who did all the sorcery series that we've been loving. Heaven's Vault is basically an archaeologist. You translate languages from alien civilizations, and seems really kind of cool. So there's that, and then there's Darklands, which does not look like it's going to win. This is an RPG that has been played by Kilgore and that Dialad, the GOG stream team member that recently passed away, sadly. That is what that is. That's an RPG basically that she liked as well. So now is the time to get in your vote. Last chance for everybody to get in your vote. As of right now, Frostpunk has an 8-7 vote lead, so it's very close. Up 9-7. So we just got another vote for Frostpunk. So we have 9 votes for Frostpunk, 7 votes for Heaven's Vault, and 2 votes for Darklands. So we are going once on this, going twice, and all right, there we go. Frostpunk is the winner. So I will be playing Frostpunk next week. Thank you all for those of you who did the voting. But as of right now, as I said, I've got to get on out of here. D&D with GOG Storm King's Thunder coming up in about 20 minutes over at GOG. Tomorrow we'll be off. Thursday, though, we'll be back here Thursday evening for a performance of the Our Vocalists doing a new game, Neo Cab, for them. That'll be happening sometime between, I think around 8:30 p.m. Eastern is when I have that set. So 8:30 p.m. Eastern on Thursday night. If you want to have more fun with the Our Vocalists, Neo Cab is definitely a more serious game than Paper Mario. And so the Origami King. So I think you'll have a chance to see a little more range from all of the voice actors, and most of all, more acting, which is what I want from these kinds of things. So that'll be happening. And then so that'll be Thursday. Then Friday night, we have the first of 2 Esper Genesis sessions. Those are going to be back-to-back this time because of the way the schedule worked out. So it's going to be the 19th, and then the 26th will be the 2 Esper Genesis sessions. So if you want to know more about what our intrepid crew, how that campaign is going, and it's been going pretty sweet, that is going to be happening on Friday. And then Saturday we have D&D with viewers. So if any of you have watched this and you're like, I would like to play D&D with Arv, you will get your chance to do that on Saturday evening starting at around 7 p.m. Eastern. And then Sunday it is Speculate with the Blades in the Dark campaign run by Brandon O'Brien and with the amazing crew of Valerie Valdez and Iori Kusano and Yoi Gawain Lin and Brandon O'Brien. And as I mentioned, Brandon O'Brien is the GM and Mike Underwood as the fourth player. I was trying to think. I was like getting confused as to Mike, because Mike is GMing the other Speculate game. Anyway, Mike is playing in that one, so that's happening on Sunday. And that is, I think, the last one that we have actually is, then we have Tuesday the 23rd, and we'll go on from there. So a lot of tabletop playing happening this time, and it's going to be awesome. If you like what you saw and heard, please follow the channel. Check out the YouTube with !ArvTube. Please subscribe to me over there as well. I'm trying to get that up to 1,000 subscribers. I am at 777 at last check, so please be the person to break the sevens and continue to move forward. That's free for you, but it will really help me out. !Arv tube for that. !Arv Cord for the Discord channel where you can hang out with the Arvanauts in between streams. !Arv Tweets for my Twitter, where I always tweet where I'm going live and the like. And then the website for all this, newly fixed, thankfully, thanks to Craigery, is arvanelleron.com. On the financial side, !Arv Shop for merchandise relating to Adventures of Middle-earth and elsewhere. !Arv Treon for that. Arv Shop for that. Also, we have Infinity and Beyond material there too. Arv Treon is that Patreon which Amal just generously increased your support with, at least for a month. And so that's $2.43 per month. We're beginning to see that tick back up. That's great. That really is the financial backbone of the channel. The more support that I get there, the easier it is for me to do things like pay the Arv vocalist and do other things like that I want to do more of as we go forward. And of course, get stuff like the new camera for the stream and all that kind of good stuff. So that is very much appreciated. Plus, you get cool stuff for yourself, including inspirations to help the players. And boy, did this party need this month because of what they were going through. So that's Arv Treon for that. Last but certainly not least, the sub button allows you to subscribe to the channel, get those custom sub badges and emotes and inspirations as well. Thank you to Mrs. Dunsel for the resub and for all those who have subbed and resubbed in the last few weeks. Finally, on the publishing side, Icarus for more details about that Icarus graphic novel I was referring to before from Athos Arts. More things coming about Athos soon as well. Library for tales and tomes from the Forbidden Library. My 5e Adventure and Sourcebook, which is going to be available in print. It's in print already, sitting in boxes in U.S. Customs, where it has been for the last almost over a month now. So please, let it go. Let the books go. Let the people have what they want. Anyway, that is coming soon from Alligator Alley Entertainment. In the meantime, it's available in digital form on Drive-Thru RPG. That's the deal with that. And then Greyshade KS for more details about my Greyshade Kickstarter. More information about that coming soon. It's going to be launching the middle of next month, and so I'm very excited to talk more about that. And last but certainly not least, BLM. Oh, I'm waiting not patiently for mine, Trendane, for sure. I definitely am with you, man. BLM is Black Lives Matter. The importance of affirming and asserting the importance of Black lives and protecting Black lives and revering them, especially in the circumstances that we found ourselves in over the last few months. And then Help Now, which is the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. That is super important as well, to support others who need help and to support yourself when you need help as well. That's going to do it for me for now. I'm going to head over to GOG. No raid today because, again, you should go over there in about 15 minutes. Thank you to my wonderful mods, Rudnell, Triffity Mats, for being awesome as always. Thank you as well to my wonderful subscribers, Rudnell, Triffity Mats, Errant, Lone Wolf, Mrs. Dunsel, and Trendane. And of course, thank you to my Patreon supporters, including Amal El-Matar, and of course another TT viewer, Brahms, Carbo, Commander Root, what's up Brahms, Day underscore, Ekeg, Galadriel Bot, totally not a bot, Garlic Tofu, Gorgar, Harlequin, Live Suing, Lotwook, Silly Gnome, Terry Tunes, Tauntoms, T-Bank, Twitch Details, which is totally not a bot, you Christensen, Uncle Elias, and V&K, and special thanks again to my wonderful players, to Trendane, to Brad, to Terry, and to Amal for being awesome and bringing the awesomeness every time that they do this stream. That's it for me. Much love to all of you. I will see you folks over at GOG in about 15 minutes. Until then, everyone be good to each other. Have a good night.